handsome boy. Hi, handsome boy. Hi. Hello, everybody. Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Have you liked and subscribed yet? Yes or no? I hate democracy. Hello, everybody. Is there actually a civil war in the USA? No, there is a civil war within MAGA right now because Donald Trump said that any person who voted for him that wants to see the Epstein files, he no longer wants their support, and you are fake MAGA. So it's causing a civil war within MAGA world because now Trump is saying you have to choose me or caring about children being sex trafficked. I said hello. Hi, Jack. Hi, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey. You okay? All I wanted was you. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I gotta crank the AC. It's hot as fucking, it's hot as fucking, hot as fucking. Thanks for the 5 gifted memberships, Onyx. Oh, Jack, I already reposted it, and I asked if I could use that for my 2032 presidential campaign. All right, so check this out. Peace out, Nelson. Trump sues Murdoch and Wall Street Journal for $10 billion over the Epstein article. And these two were best friends. Rupert Murdoch owns Fox News, so I don't know how Trump thinks he'll ever win this fight. Going to war with Fox News, that's not a war you can win. That is, they own the culture. You know what I'm saying? If Trump thinks that Rupert Murdoch won't flip the script and get all of his propagandists on Fox News to turn tail and run a train on Trump, he's an idiot. They're going to do that. Fox News has more power than Donald Trump, 100%. Drew Harris just became a loyalist. Thank you very much, Drew. You had a beautiful family. Anyway, Donald Trump has filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal's parent company, Dow Jones, and its owner, Rupert Murdoch, over claims that he wrote a bawdy note to sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. U.S. President claims the publication slandered him and violated libel laws in an article alleging that a birthday greeting bearing Trump's name was sent to the late financier in 2003 before he was charged with sex crimes. Trump said the note, which the paper reported he had sent for Epstein's 50th birthday, is, quote, fake. We have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit. Jesus Christ. Guys, they were just together. There's Rupert Murdoch right there. This was the FIFA thing. Trump is fucked. We should listen to Shane Gillis' opening monologue. Be a good way to start the morning.
Host, Shane Gillis.
What congressman, Jack?
WNBA legend Deanna Taurasi is here. Give it up for her. My bad on that. SGA is here. Give it up for SGA. Hell yeah, bro.
They know they're all
Everybody
targets.
sitting around him is in foul trouble. Megan Rapinoe could not make it tonight. Nice. No, we're going to pretend she's a good time. All right. John Jones and Nate Diaz are here. Hell yeah. I had a couple drinks with those guys last night at the hotel, and it was terrifying. Donald Trump wants to stage a UFC fight on the White House lawn. The last time he staged a fight in D.C., Mike Pence almost died. All right. You don't have to do that. It was fine. I didn't write it. Actually, there was supposed to be an Epstein joke here, but I guess it got deleted.
Oh,
Must
shit.
have probably deleted itself, right? Probably never existed, actually. Let's move on as a country and ignore that.
Bro, Shane doesn't... I don't think Shane is thinking too far ahead because there are people in that audience who are on the Epstein list. 1,000%. There are people in that audience who were on the Epstein list.
The New York Knicks had a great season. Yeah, hell yeah. Karl Anthony Towns is here. Hey, girl. Max Crosby is here. Max, I hope you had a good Juneteenth, brother. Well, that guy's weird.
See, the Rio Grande doc from yesterday was actually from 2 years ago? No, it wasn't.
Four-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Hicks is here. Give it up for Brittany, everybody. I'm joking around. That's my friend's wife. I knew none of you knew WNBA players.
Yes, it was. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Listen, I'm a muckraker. I'm a propagandist. It does not matter if it happened under Biden. Trump gets blamed for it. It does not matter. You need to understand what we're up against. You got to fight fire with fire. When you're fighting against fascists, no holds barred. Trump did that.
That's crazy. You clap for that. Simone Biles is here. Yeah, hell yeah. It's not bad. Simone Biles is 4'8" and has 7 gold medals. She's short and has a lot of gold. When she's not competing, she leads a quiet life at the base of a rainbow.
I have to disagree there with Biden doing neoliberal shit too. No, listen, Joe Biden was a terrible president, but he's no longer the president. 100% of all of my effort goes to shitting on Trump, convincing people that Trump is bad. Trump could literally cure cancer, and I would find a way to insult him. You need to understand who I am. I will never give Donald Trump credit for anything good, and anything bad that happens, I will find a way to blame him. That's the game we're playing. That's the game we are playing, guys.
It's a leprechaun joke. If you tell Simone a riddle and she can't answer it, she has to give you all of her gold medals. That was the best one. Joe Rogan actually wanted me to be here to host this award show so that I could capture Adam Silver because Joe thinks he's an alien. And Donald Trump wanted me to be here to capture Juan Soto for the same reason. It's an alien joke. What you booed up there, dude? Shut up. Aaron Rodgers did not take the vaccine because he predicted it would be bad for him. And then he joined the New York Jets. So maybe he wasn't right about it.
Shane's had funnier sets than this. I think Jack is right. I don't think he wrote most of these jokes. Oh, we talked about this yesterday.
Yet more controversy surrounding the Florida Immigration Detention Center known as Alligator Alcatraz. New reporting from the Miami Herald.
Dems and Republicans are just as bad as each other. Incorrect. Democrats are bad, but Republicans are worse. Republicans right now are Nazis. They're building concentration camps. They are detaining people with masked, unidentified individuals. They are killing people at the southern border. There is no comparison. The Democrats are bad, but the Republicans are genuinely Nazis.
Tampa Bay Times reveals the sequence of events that led to a 15-year-old boy with no criminal record being held there for 3 days.
Think Kamala would have done good? She would have done better than Trump.
Stop. Joining me now is Anna Caballos, who is on the byline of that reporting. Anna, tell us more about what you know about what happened there.
Hi, yes, so we found that there was a 15-year-old whose name is Alexis who was arrested in Tampa on July 1st by Florida Highway Patrol troopers, who was later transferred to the custody of federal immigration authorities and later sent to Alligator Alcatraz. We were able to talk to his father, who said that he did not hear from his kid for 3 days while he was in the detention center, but when he got the phone call...
You see Nick Fuentes jumping ship? Yeah, the thing is, you shouldn't be giving Nick Fuentes any attention. Nick Fuentes is a Nazi. That's not hyperbole. He's an actual self-appointed Nazi. He's very proud to be a Nazi. And everybody who watches his content is, in turn, a Nazi. Is it good that he jumped ship? Yes. But should Nick Fuentes deserve any attention? No.
He was told by his kid that he had been scared about being separated from a group of adults. He had been in a car. He was riding as a passenger in that vehicle. And so he lied about his age. And when he was telling that to his dad said, no, you need to tell the truth. And he sent a copy of his birth certificate to him. And he was able to access his phone number to show authorities that he was in fact a minor. And then he was transferred out of the facility, but he was there for about 3 days.
Do we know where he is now?
Yes, he's in the custody of the federal government at a shelter for migrant children. He's in the process of being reunited with his father, but it's still unclear as to how that case is going to be playing out.
You guys didn't see Gutfeld trying to take back the word Nazi? Let's see. Maybe I can find it on Twitter. Oh, that's TikTok.
Nothing beats it.
That's TikTok again. I want Twitter. Greg Gutfeld is a guy on Fox. So just so you can understand what your MAGA grandparents or your MAGA father, your MAGA mother, just so you can understand what they're consuming, this is the news for them.
This is why the criticism doesn't matter to us when you call us Nazis, Nazi this, Nazi that. You know, I'm beginning to think they don't like us. You know what? I've said this before. We need to learn from the blacks.
Red flag number one. Why'd you say the blacks like that? Why'd you say it like that?
To learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my Nazi? Hey, what up, my Nazi? Hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
Nazi, please.
Thank God you did a hard eye there.
So, like, you need to understand, this is the... Oh, Eddie says Halo Wars is kind of flag. It was. This is the news that your grandparents, your uncle, your dad, like, this is what they're watching. If you're curious why your family member is a Nazi, it's because the news is telling them to be one. Proudly. That's, like, you're watching it. Here, let's play it again.
This before, we need to learn from the blacks. The way they were able to remove the power from the N-word by using it. So from now on, it's what up, my Nazi? Hey, what up, my Nazi? Hey, what's hanging, my Nazi?
Nazi, please.
Thank God you did a hard eye there. What does it tell?
Yeah, and Gutfeld is a guy that Trump flexes. Trump Truth Social. He flexes him. Thank you for the $5. This would be funny. This would be a funny Boondocks bit if it wasn't real life. Yeah, literally. Medvedev is threatening nuclear war again. Medvedev? Medvedev isn't even the leader of Russia. What kind of music do you listen to? House and lo-fi. Where is it? No, whatever. I have asked the Justice Department to release all grand jury testimony with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, subject only to court approval. With that being said, and even if the court gave its full and unwavering approval, nothing will be good enough for the troublemakers and the radical left lunatics making the request. It will always be more, MAGA. All right, so what's going to happen is Trump is about to release a version of the Epstein files that doesn't have him in it. And yeah, of course, that's not going to be enough for me. No. Show me the full file with your name in it, because I know your name is in it. Listen, let me explain something to you. If any Epstein list comes out and Donald Trump's name is not in it, it's not a real Epstein list. That is non-negotiable. That is non-debatable. Donald Trump is on the Epstein list. Donald Trump fucks children. Donald Trump is a pedophile. Donald Trump is a rapist. Donald Trump is a child rapist. Everything I just said is fact. And facts don't give a fuck about your opinions. Or sorry, your fifis. Tulsi Gabbard claims Obama did it. No shot.
President Trump has filed what he calls a powerhouse lawsuit over the Wall Street Journal's Jeffrey Epstein report. The libel suit filed in the Southern District of Florida names the paper's publisher, Dow Jones, and its owner, media mogul Rupert Murdoch. The president is seeking at least $10 billion in damages. Trump has downplayed his relationship with the convicted child sex offender, and in recent weeks, he's called the controversy surrounding the release of files in Epstein's sex trafficking case the Epstein hoax. But yesterday, following the president's order, the Justice Department filed a motion.
The thing is, Lehman, the Russians have threatened nuclear war since my father was born. My father was born in 1948. We've been living under the threat of nuclear war since 1948. I have no reason to take any of it seriously. Even if the bombs did fall, fucking I'll die in the blast. I don't give a shit.
To unseal.
Thoughts on Stephen Colbert being fired? Oh, it's huge. It's like, not only is it clearly political, but I made a video about this. It is a necessary step into complete and total fascism. We already live in a fascist, totalitarian, authoritarian regime, but being able to just overnight fire Stephen Colbert, probably going for Jimmy Kimmel next, suing Paramount, suing Dow Jones. What you're seeing right now is a necessary part of a fascist regime, which is complete state-controlled media. The executive branch, the federal government, having full control over the flow of information. It's the only way to subdue a population of 370 million people. You have to criminalize criticism. You hear what I'm saying? The only way for Trump to stay in power for his entire life, which is what he wants a third, fourth, fifth, he wants to be in there until he croaks. The only way to do that is to criminalize complaints. That's it.
Grand jury testimony related to Epstein. Willie James Inman is at the White House with more. Willie James, good morning.
Dana, good morning to you. President Trump is blasting the Wall Street Journal following the publishing of an article that includes alleged details of a bawdy birthday note sent to...
If we live in a fascist regime, what are your thoughts on people leaving for another country? I know a lot of people feel helpless. Well, now is the time where you have to make a decision. All right, here's the thing. Rule number one about a fascist regime, and this is throughout all of history, is that if you want to get out, you have to get out before you're not allowed to. That is one of the integral parts of a fascist regime. If you want to flee, you got to do it before you're no longer allowed to flee. The second thing is, if you don't want to flee, you need to be willing to die, which I absolutely am. If some motherfucker was genuinely trying to take my rights, trying to throw me in prison, trying to throw me in a concentration camp, trying to make my political opinions illegal, I'll just die. I'll just die on my feet. So you do need to make a decision. Do you want to run and live or fight and die? That's it. Those are your decisions.
Disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein.
In a post on Truth Social, the president said, "We have just filed a powerhouse lawsuit against everyone involved in publishing the false, malicious, defamatory fake news article. Trump is suing for $10 billion. Dow Jones and Company, the publisher of the Wall Street Journal, said in a statement they have full confidence in the accuracy of their reporting and will defend against any lawsuit. This week, the newspaper published an article with alleged details of a risque birthday letter the president allegedly sent to Jeffrey Epstein in the early 2000s.
What would you say to my aunt who has a Hispanic husband? The same thing I say to anybody who's Hispanic in the United States. You are not safe. I don't give a fuck. Thank you for becoming a loyalist. If you are Hispanic in the United States, even if you were born here and both of your parents were born here, you're not safe at all. The one piece of advice that I could give to any Hispanic person in the United States of America is carry your passport with you everywhere you go, 24 hours of the day, 7 days a week. I mean that. It still won't be enough. If ICE wants you and you show them your passport, they're just going to say it's fake. But you need to have that thing on you. You live in the modern version of Nazi Germany. If an ICE agent asks you for your papers and you don't have them, you are being disappeared. You are being sent to a concentration camp, probably thrown on a plane and sent to a death camp in El Salvador. If you are Hispanic, you are not safe. This is not a threat. This is a warning. You are in extreme fucking danger. Extreme danger.
The paper claims the note was signed by Trump and includes a sketch of a nude woman. The article alleges Trump's note said, "We have certain things in common." The note ends with, "May every day be another wonderful secret." The president called the letter fake and said he never wrote it. Backlash within the MAGA
$10,
movement
Gamma. Hi, Valenti. Hi, Gamma.
has grown over the handling of the Epstein case, with some alleging the administration is still withholding key details.
I call it the Epstein hoax.
Some supporters of the president say they want to see more documents released.
Let me just ask you, make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
I think the DOJ should immediately move to unseal all the Epstein documents in the Southern District of New York.
Following the outcry, the president urged Attorney General Pam Bondi to file a motion for the unsealing of grand jury testimony.
What is your message to Italians with Spanish last names? Any room for worry? Yeah, when I say Hispanic, I mean look Hispanic. You could be the whitest motherfucker ever, but if you're a white dude whose last name is Martinez, yeah, you're still in danger. Listen, I'm white as they come, but you give me a couple weeks of no shaving to grow out my beard and you let me go tan, yeah, even I'm in danger. You know, it doesn't matter what you actually are. It matters what you look like.
In a Friday court filing, the DOJ cited special circumstances in asking for the public release of transcripts. Jessica Levinson is a legal expert.
Unsealing this grand jury
news in the martial law thought it was happening? Yeah, they're just doing it without invoking the Insurrection Act. That's why we have Marines deployed across the United States. That's why we have a secret police force wearing masks with no identification, black bagging and kidnapping people before sending them to a concentration camp surrounded by reptiles. Yeah, Donald Trump just decided to invoke martial law without doing it legally. So yeah, congratulations, martial law happened.
if it is ever unsealed, doesn't really give the public what I think they're interested in: client lists, photos, videos, etc.
Now, it could take weeks or months for a federal judge to make a decision. And if some of the records are released, the DOJ says it would work to redact info on victims and other personal information. Michelle?
Yeah, this story doesn't seem to be going away. Willie James Inman at the White House. Thank you.
Okay, I'm joined now by someone, and this is interesting, with intimate knowledge of the very jail cell Epstein died in. Michael Francis, he was a capo for the Colombo crime family in the 1980s. He served time in the exact cell where Epstein was later held. Michael, welcome back to the program. Tell us about that cell, and what do you make of these revelations that there is a minute missing from the surveillance video, Michael?
Well, listen, you know, I spent 7 months on that tier and in those cells. And the first thing I have to say, there's no way
shit.
you are able.
Guy's a captain for the Colombo crime family. I'm not kidding. I think my dad helped throw this guy in prison by wearing a wire for the FBI. My dad's dead, so, like, what are you gonna do? You gonna punish me? Fuck you. But, like, I'm not even fucking kidding. If that is, if that's the right guy, hold on. Who's his dad? Who's his dad? Yup. Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't know that guy was out. I didn't know that guy was out. Oh, shit.
Able to commit suicide. There's just no way. There's no way to hang yourself. There's nothing from the ceiling.
Michael! Small world, huh? Michael, my boy.
There's nothing from the bed. You'd have to be a midget and work really hard to try to hang yourself. And I don't think you can accomplish it at that point. You know, as far as the cameras being off, I haven't experienced that. I did 8 years in prison. And I haven't experienced cameras being broken in the perfect storm of...
Is that a YouTube play button? Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Oh my God, he's got almost 2 million subs.
Power is a strange currency.
Oh no! Oh no! He's gonna go, wait a minute, I know your last name. Why do I know your last name? Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate the engagement. I recently came across your channel and enjoy your content. Former MAGA here, but now a firm democratic socialist. Change is possible. Fuck yeah, let's get some W balaclavas, or W baklava. W baklava. Oh God, I'm afraid of this guy now. I'm afraid of this motherfucker.
Power is a strange currency. It doesn't need a gun when it already owns your secrets. On this lonely sliver of Caribbean rock, a disgraced math teacher built a pleasure palace, then wired it like a CIA safe house. Every chandelier hiding a lens.
The FBI drilled that.
Mike? What about my mic? What's wrong with my mic? What happened? Do I sound okay? Fuck's going on? Oh, you're welcome, Lehman.
Epstein's safe after he was arrested, and they took out anywhere from hundreds to thousands of DVDs.
They are videos that
What about
exist.
I was trafficked to other billionaires, politicians, professors, even royalty.
2 decades later, he's dead. The tapes are missing, and the internet is stuck on all the wrong things.
I've tried not to focus on.
All right, I
whether
turned
or
it
not
up. Is
Epstein
that better?
killed himself.
I
I
turned
think
it
that's
up.
kind of a red herring.
Today, we ask a different question. Who built Jeffrey Epstein, and why was he worth protecting at all costs?
I turned it up. Should be better now.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking
Dude,
about...
just you fucking wait until the entire country finds out. Oh, God. Can I? Okay. Just you wait until the entire country finds out that Donald Trump worked with the Italian mafia for 20 years. Donald Trump, before he was a politician, had so much blood on his hands. I mean, literal blood on his hands. He had been responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people. And it's not just the Italian mafia. It's the Russian mafia. It's the fucking Yakuza. It's the Israeli mafia. Donald Trump is a crime lord. He's a crime lord. He's a crime boss.
This guy, this creep?
My friends, you know, the question about Epstein, it hasn't been answered. I did a video, you know, just a little while back when all of this broke from the Department of Justice that the case is basically closed. I don't agree with it. I gave you my thoughts. Based upon that, it really caused me to do a deep dive into Epstein. You know, there's a lot of unanswered questions. So to answer President Trump's dilemma, this isn't us fixating on this creep. It's about exposing the system that built him. You'll hear about cameras and jail cells, about his private jets and where he died, but those are really just stage props in a trial we haven't even started. The only question that really matters is who gave Epstein his power and why did they protect him? Over the next 25 minutes, we'll examine survivor testimonies, flight logs, bank warnings, sworn depositions, and even more. You'll hear experts, podcasters, even comedians riff on conspiracy, but none of it stands without some shred of evidence. So listen closely. If we stop at how, we'll never get to who. Until we demand, you know, all of those answers, whoever engineered Epstein's rise and built the walls around him, they'll keep the next one safely out of reach. And let me tell you, this is not a pity tour through Epstein's, you know, childhood or a rehash of every tabloid rumor. We're beyond that. We're skipping the sob story. We're zeroing in on the part no one can explain. How an
I know this is a silly question. Do you think that this regime will eventually come after people of Eastern European descent because of the region's former association with communism? If the Trump regime gets what they want, 270 million people will be removed from the United States by force or by death. This nation, their goal is to lower the population of the nation to 100 million people, and for the only people in this nation to be fertile, white, Christian women and God-fearing Republican white men. Their goal is to remove all people of color and all non-Christians from the United States of America. That is in Project 2025. That is the end goal.
underqualified math teacher, that's what he was, vaulted into the inner circles of billionaires, spies, and ultimately blackmail. When the dots stop adding...
That's a tall order. Never underestimate a Nazi. Never underestimate a fucking Nazi. How do you think all this ends? I can't say it. But you could probably piece together what I'm thinking.
Donald Trump is doing everything he can to try and make this story go away, including bullying media outlets into silence in a way that should alarm everyone. However, the more Donald Trump tries to bury the story, the bigger it seems to become.
No, Mormons are not considered Christians. When I say Christian, I mean evangelical. Catholics aren't even going to be considered Christians. Episcopalians, Protestants, no. Evangelical Christianity only will be allowed.
To break it all down is senior MSNBC reporter Brandy Zadrozny and former U.S. Attorney and former Assistant Deputy Attorney General Harry Litman. Harry, let me start with you. What do you make of Donald Trump suing Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal, two stalwarts of the right? How is this going to go for him with his base and with the conservative
To elaborate
movement?
on Trump being in the mafia, Donald Trump was a business mogul in New York. Everybody in New York knew about Donald Trump since like the late 60s, early 70s. Throughout the period between 1970 and 1998, the entirety of New York City, all 5 boroughs, were owned by the Italian mafia. You could not put up a billboard, let alone buy a fucking building without permission from the Italian mafia. Donald Trump was a real estate mogul, buying up these buildings, buying up real estate. Every single deal that he made was through embezzlement, was through back alley deals, was through illegal deals. He didn't pay his workers. He practiced segregation in his buildings. Every deal that he made was intrinsically tied to the Italian mafia. You couldn't make any purchase in New York City, any large purchase, without involving the Italian mafia. It wasn't possible.
It seems to me the single stupidest thing that he could have done, Melissa, and I don't understand where he thinks it's headed. First, as you say, it guarantees that every filing is another news cycle that brings it up. But second, he's now drawn a line. You know, he could have tried strategically to distance himself from Epstein.
Mormons get, what did I say? White numbers? No, they'll do what the Germans did. You probably don't even know this. You guys got to remember that when the Nazis took over, they tried to force everybody to convert out of different branches of Christianity into Catholicism, even though the Germans hated Catholicism, right? The Germans, people have this weird misconception where they think they praise Jesus. They didn't. Religion in and of itself was a bad thing in Germany because it meant that you looked up to a god, and a god was higher than the Führer. The only religion they wanted you to have was Nazism, and your god was supposed to be Hitler. It's why it was very difficult for the Germans to get people like Mormons to actually convert, and they refused to. A lot of them were rounded up in the camps and killed.
Others have done. Say we had a break in 2004. Instead, he's made it all about, is this notebook fake? And I'm sorry, anyone with any sophistication and knows how the Wall Street Journals worked, that's going to lose. That's just a stone cold loser. And it just means he doubles down. And at the end of the day, the notebook comes out and makes it more likely it's going to, not to mention the deposition in the case. So it's a wretched idea for him, not the first time, but it's just it can only, if he stays with it, he's in quicksand deeper and deeper. The truth.
$5 from John Show. Hey, Chris, I have tons of respect for you for speaking out about your past experiences with abuse. Much respect, my guy. Glad to see you thriving. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
Well, remember, the truth is a defense here, and he's going to have the burden of showing that it's false. You read that Wall Street Journal article. There's no doubt they have it buttoned down 6 ways of, precisely what's there, and they've seen it. They anticipated this, and they're ready for war.
Brandy.
Yeah, see, Trump made a critical mistake. If Trump didn't sue the Wall Street Journal, he could just keep on claiming it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. And we would have to choose who we trust. But by Trump suing them for libel, by Trump saying that they're defaming him, well, now Trump has to prove that that letter is fake. And if he cannot prove that that letter is fake, then the entire nation gets confirmation that it is real. That's what's going to happen.
Harry is exactly right. The standard to establish defamation is incredibly high, but yet Donald Trump has actually prevailed in getting a lot of media outlets to...
Can one be a Christian socialist? Yeah, Jesus Christ was a socialist, bro. You can't be a Christian and not be a socialist. There is no political identity that more aligns with Christian values than socialism.
Capitulate, to settle even before these cases go to trial. Is that the strategy here?
Well, it definitely seems that way. At least that's the way that he's
I ain't gonna go back and clip it. You fucking clip it.
presenting it. And his Truth Social post, you know, he ticked off a list of the cases that he has come on the right side of. You know, he said, I've sued ABC, I've sued CBS, I've sued the Pulitzers, and I will sue, you know, Wall Street Journal.
The Wall Street
and
Journal
I'm here for
settled?
you.
No. Wall Street Journal is owned by Dow Jones, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch is one of the wealthiest men in human history. He can drag on this lawsuit as long as he wants. Rupert Murdoch has far more money than Donald Trump. They're never going to fucking settle.
And so it's really important in terms of media manipulation. I think Trump's being pretty savvy here. He had a really, really big problem with the MAGA Epstein files and the way that that was handled. You saw the things at Turning Points. I watch a lot of this.
I know, we make you watch a lot of this
Thought Jesus was a one world government communist. I mean, listen, if you want to break it down to like his real beliefs, you could probably get to that. But at the end of the day, his practices were practices of socialism.
My apologies. It is my pleasure, truly. But so I watched a lot of this media, and people were so angry in a way that I had never seen covering this for, you know, over 10 years now. And so what do you do with that? And I talked to a couple MAGA influencers last night, but they told me very specifically that, like, what this was a change in the narrative. And when you think about the really...
What are we angry about today? Donald Trump fucking children?
Narratives for this MAGA base. One is this anti-pedophilia, Trump's going to do all this, but another one is enemy of the people. Yeah. And framing this, putting this on blast and making this like a talking point all day, it really has changed the conversation for the MAGA influencers, but not for the MAGA true believers. I'm on those sites as well. And for those sites, there's still a hefty group of people who take the Wall Street Journal at face value. Yeah. I mean, they're delusional sometimes, but they're not stupid.
Well,
so they see what that is.
This is a core outlet of the right. I mean, it's not CBS, it's not ABC, and yet this is the hill he's going to die on this story. Taking on Rupert Murdoch, is this going to end the way it ended with CBS? And
is there any
ABC?
proof at all, or is it hearsay? No, there's proof. Wall Street Journal has a letter. Have you not read the letter that Trump sent to Epstein? And on top of that, I mean, the reason why Trump won't release the files is because all of the evidence is in the files. Have you not read the article, Hot Wheels?
I used to work for Fox News, and I know, another segment. But, you know, this is not, Wall Street Journal is not Fox News. Right. The Wall Street Journal is Rupert Murdoch's crown jewel in his empire. And so I think it's very unlikely, you know, their editor-in-chief.
Would you like to see it? So, Chris, is this regime going to deport? How the fuck am I supposed to know if they're going to do that, bro? You've asked that 4 times. I don't know. I don't know, brother. I can't answer that. I do not know. All right. Here's the letter that Trump wrote Epstein. There must be more to life than having everything. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Nor will I, since I also know what it is. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Enigmas never age, have you noticed that? As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Now, this letter was also printed out on a typewriter, and the letters, the text was put inside of the silhouette of a naked woman, and Trump's signature was on her pussy. So,
If Emma, she was the one who stood by this reporting. So I just don't see this happening in the same way. Like you said, they were really ready for it. They had his denial. They know what he said. And so now he kind of had to put up or shut up. And this is what he's doing. I don't know how it's going to play out, though.
All right. Harry, I want to pivot for a minute and talk a little bit about the motion that the Trump DOJ made today in a district court to release the grand jury materials related to both the Epstein and Maxwell indictments. And I just want our viewers to understand, not all of the information that is amassed in a criminal investigation is actually presented to the grand jury, which means that even if the grand jury materials are...
It didn't bother me, brother. It's just, you got to remember, at the end of the day, I'm a 27-year-old dude with a YouTube account. I can't tell you whether or not you're going to get deported. I can tell you what I think is going to happen, but I can't tell you what is going to happen.
By the district court, and that's a very big if. it's not going to be the release of the Epstein files, like the whole file that MAGA has been demanding. Will his base understand that, and will they be appeased by whatever limited information is released,
Connor.
if any information is released?
You know, I think they will understand that, and they will not be appeased, Melissa. First, as you say, it's unclear. It's up to the court whether to even do it. The reasons that
Chris, almost everything you've predicted this year has happened so far. Yeah, well, it doesn't take a fucking genius to be able to tell what a dumbass fascist regime is going to do. The thing is the Trump regime fascist? Yes, but they're also stupid. They're so stupid. They're so brazen and upfront and not subtle. Like it's just, everything is so clear as fucking day. You could see what's happening a year before it happens.
Department gave just aren't part of the rules for when you release grand jury. But the far more important point, you look at the indictments and what they were proving in the case, they had nothing to do, not just with Donald Trump, but any of the sort of
oh yeah, they're coming for interracial marriage. First they're going to get rid of gay marriage, and then interracial.
Customers. They were all about Epstein and the people who were helping him, like Ghislaine Maxwell, and the underage girls. They don't figure in to prove the crime that they had to prove. There just had to be a knowledge that some commercial transaction would take place. Even all the sex in the indictments are just with Epstein. So I think it's a total red herring. There's basically no chance that what they have there is the sort of thing that MAGA is clamoring for.
So Brandy, this motion seems to be an effort to distract the base a little bit. Are they likely to be distracted? Are they going to know that this isn't what they want? These are not the drones they're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think that this group is very, very animated by this thing right now. And what really happened was that memo that came out that said there's nothing to see here, there's no client list, they didn't do it, nobody else did anything wrong, and case closed, there's nothing else coming out. That incensed this group so much that now they're out for blood and they want every single thing. It doesn't help that also Democrats want every single thing now too. You have this weird moment of synchronicity.
Bipartisanship.
I know. Is this what can bring us all together? I don't know. But it's just a really, really interesting time. But no, I don't. There's no satisfying a group of conspiracy theorists, especially. I think the only thing that they could have possibly done is drawn this out for the entire length of Trump's presidency. If they had just said, they're coming, they're coming, they're coming, we've seen what happened with QAnon, right? Been promised a judgment day since 2016 that never really came. You could have done that.
You take interracial marriage with mixed people? Interracial marriage was illegal until like the fucking 1960s, bro. All you would have to do is overturn a Supreme Court ruling, which is exactly what Trump did with Roe v. Wade. It's not unprecedented, and it would be incredibly simple considering that he owns the Supreme Court, Pact 6-3. There is no checks and balances. Like, Donald Trump is the Supreme Court.
But that was just a break in the dam that now they better produce something, and something good, if they're going to want to appease these people.
All right, it's put up or shut up time. All right, Harry Littman, Brandy Zastrozny, thank you.
I'm black, white, and Mexican, so I can marry everybody. Oh, sweet child. Sweet, sweet summer child. You just said, if I were a Nazi, and I read that, which the regime is, all I would have read is, so you're black. So you're black. You've never heard of the one drop rule? You got one drop of black blood in you, you're black. Tulsi Gabbard calls for Obama to be prosecuted over 2016 election claims. What? Tulsi Gabbard. What's my opinion on her? She's a fake bitch with this gross white strand in her hair. She's a bootlicking career politician who was willing to sell her fucking soul. So Tulsi Gabbard has called for Barack Obama and former senior U.S. national security officials to be prosecuted after accusing them of a treasonous conspiracy intended to show that Donald Trump's 2016 presidential election win was due to Russian interference. Wasn't she a liberal before? No, she was just like an anti-war lady, but as soon as she got power, she became a war hawk and fully supports every single action that Donald Trump takes. Said Obama senior officials in the regime had laid out groundwork, for a years-long coup against Trump after his victory over Hillary Clinton by, quote, manufacturing intelligence to suggest that Russia had tried to influence the election. That included using a dossier prepared by British intelligence analyst Christopher Steele that they knew to be unreliable, Gabbard claimed. The information we are releasing today clearly shows that there was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government. Yeah, bullshit. Yeah, bullshit, sweetheart. Can you turn your mic up a bit? Yeah, sure. Let's see what Adam has to say about this. Check this out. I just want to flex on you real quick. Hell fucking yeah. Hell fucking yeah. Hell fucking yeah. Alright, let's see what Adam has to say about this. Yo, Adam, if you're watching this, you want to go get fucking drunk, dude? Me and you, brother, let's go get fucking drunk, dude.
Hey everybody, my name's Adam Kinzinger. I was a U.S. congressman for 12 years. Served in the United States Air Force for 22, and now I'm bringing you the week in review. So what happened this week in politics? Really, it was overtaken by one thing. We're going to talk a lot
Yo, you know what's crazy? How many subs does he have? About the same amount of subs as me. I'm the only reason this guy has a YouTube account. He texted me. He was like, yo, bro, been seeing you on YouTube. Huge growth. That's crazy. Should I make a YouTube account? And I was like, yeah. Just do what I do. Just set up a camera and just talk in it. Yeah. You're welcome, Adam. You're fucking welcome.
Epstein.
Who's Adam Kinzinger? Former Republican congressman who wrote a book called The Last Republican, all about how, Donald Trump and MAGA have completely destroyed the Republican Party and all of the values that they used to stand for. He has been ostracized by his own party. He was labeled as a rhino, as a Republican in name only, because he refused to support Donald Trump.
We'll go into some details about that. Talk about Colbert's announcement. I'll get to that. It's not a good one. Trump has cankles. We're going to talk about the rescission package and do a touch on Ukraine and what the status change was there. So thanks for sticking around. Let's go right into Epstein. So
Charlie Kirk saying he trusts the government is the same energy as somebody who believes that they have a real connection with a stripper. Yeah, dude, hold on. Check out my video on Charlie Kirk. I just made this.
You know, after further consideration, I'm done talking about the Jeffrey Epstein files. I'm gonna go ahead and trust my friends within the government. Help! Help me! They've got blackmail on me! You know, after...
Thank you for the $10 donation. Chris, thank you for doing what you do. My husband and I look forward to your videos each day and help us through the shitstorm. Quote, Valenti videos with a low taper fade. Imagine Valenti videos with a low taper fade. Imagine if Valenti videos got a low taper fade. Imagine if Valenti videos got a low taper fade.
Listen, Epstein is so powerful on the right, okay? This is something that they have used to pin on the Democrats. They have from 2019 on, you go back to Pizzagate, QAnon, all these kinds of things. They've tried to label Democrats as pedophiles. This, by the way, is a very Russian thing, just so you know. Russia, one of their things is to label their opponents
Frankie
as
says,
pedophiles.
see, I want to do this shit too. I've been waiting to start a podcast with some friends. I know I can provide good commentary, but when it comes to research, I feel like that's where I lack. Research? Brother, it's 2025. You just fucking speak. It's all about your take. No one gives a fuck about research. That ain't your job. Your job is to manipulate and propagandize the youth into hating Donald Trump. You need to stop with this whole, oh, I need a verifiable source for this. Trump didn't. They're eating the dogs. And that's what got us into this mess. I care about research. Then get ready to lose. Get ready to lose.
So that's kind of interesting that that's here now, right? But they use the Epstein for that, and this Epstein issue, and it's grown in the far right circles. They assume that every Democrat in the world is on the Epstein list, and so they, really wanted this list released. Well, all of a sudden, Donald Trump, who campaigned on it, said he's going to release the list, comes out and says, oh, nothing there, never killed himself, or he did kill himself, and there's no information. So the right, some on the right, the influencers get really angry. And then the Wall Street Journal comes out with an article that says Donald Trump wrote a birthday letter to Epstein, which basically, when you read it, is extremely gross. It's talking about, I would encourage you to read the letter, but he's basically talking about like timeless, ageless, right, gross stuff. And so it's pretty clear what he meant. So what does Donald Trump do? Instead of saying, yeah, I wrote that letter, but that's not what it means, he says the whole letter's fake. Even though his signature's on there, there's a drawing. He claims he's never done drawings. There's like now 30.
Yeah, well, also, Donald Trump was raised by Roy Cohn, and Roy Cohn was the attorney for the Italian mafia. Remember what we said earlier? And he was taught to never admit defeat. That's one of the 3 rules of Roy Cohn. Even if they've got a video of you committing the crime, it's fake. It's AI generated. You never admit defeat, and that is what Trump is doing. $5 says, what do you think the next fascist move this regime will make after the ban of interracial marriage? No, the first thing they're going to do is go after gay marriage. The second thing they'll do is go after interracial. $5. Hi, family. Been on my honeymoon, so I missed a couple of lives, but I know y'all still pushing to save America. Thank you, Leandre. Appreciate that. And actually, I'm thinking of buying a computer, like maybe either today or tomorrow, a new computer.
Examples of drawings that he's done. And so now, though, it appears that the right is now congealing behind Donald Trump. Congealing is the best word to put it. Why? Because the media is going after him. So they're willing to defend pedophilia if the media doesn't like pedophilia. If the media likes pedophilia, I guess they're against it. But when the media exposes it, they're for it because they have to stand behind their man, even if he's a pedophile. It's absolutely unbelievable to me, but that's where we're at. Donald Trump claims that he has ordered Pam Bondi to release the grand jury, the pertinent grand jury information, which means it's subjective. It means it's up to whatever she wants to do. So not talking about releasing everything. The important part about this is grand jury stuff.
Not really,
You have
Jack.
to go to a judge to get the judge to approve it. So a judge may not. The judge may say, no, we're not going to release this. And if he does, then Trump can blame the judge and say it's the deep state suppressing this. But here's the more important part. There's all kinds of other
Lemon
stuff.
Russ.
Besides
the Trump
grand
regime
jury
has
stuff.
already put forward an executive order that would ban GTA 6 in the entire United States. That's not a joke. It's the ban is meant to ban porn federally in the entire United States, block all U.S. servers from accessing things like Pornhub, and included in that executive order is anything that is in reference to sexual material, meaning games like GTA or, just any sort of video game or story that includes naked bodies.
Testimony that they have that they could release today, right now, this second, they could release it. But they're trying to make you think that they're being transparent when they aren't. There's also a story about FBI agents being ordered to search for Trump's name in all the
Thank you for becoming a loyalist, Wrench, and thank you for the $7. Thanks for all you do, Chris. Your boldness is brave, and we appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you.
Material and find out and flag where it exists. So stay tuned to this. It's going to continue to grow, and I'm going to say continue to get really gross too. Stephen Colbert, I would consider him a acquaintance, mild friend. I've been on his show a few times. Announced that CBS is canceling his show, and it's not due to ratings. It is pretty much understood. It's due to the fact that Stephen Colbert has been critical of Donald Trump and was critical of Paramount's capitulation to Donald Trump.
I really don't think they're going to be able to ban GTA. They were able to ban a woman's right to autonomy by getting rid of Roe v. Wade. They were literally able to ban a women's right to autonomy. Bodily autonomy. And you don't think they could stop a video game from being released? Are you out of your fucking mind?
Paying a ransom because of a 60 Minutes story. Donald Trump sued 60 Minutes. What a sissy, by the way. Just, this guy has such thin skin, it's unbelievable. Sued 60 Minutes. The lawsuit would have been absolutely thrown out in court. But the person that owns the...
Yeah, I don't think many people in chat know that there are already red states in the United States where porn is completely banned and you can't look it up on your phone. You guys do know that there are states in the United States of America where you cannot watch porn. You're aware of this, right?
Would stand to benefit from the merger. She, and I can't think of her name right now, she wants this merger to go through because she'll make more billions of dollars. And so in order to make the government happy, she has settled with Donald Trump, and it looks like now canceled Stephen Colbert because of that. I would encourage many of you out there that care about this, if you have a Paramount Plus subscription, cancel that, and do your best to stay away from CBS until they right the ship there. Donald Trump also came out and announced he was sick. Now, Donald Trump never announces he's sick, so why is this? Well, because this week there were photos taken of his giant cankles, these swollen legs.
Never happened when I traveled, but okay. All right. U.S. states. Porn is banned. Let's see. Virginia, Georgia, South Dakota, Wyoming, South Carolina, Texas, and Florida. They all need you to actually put in a picture of your identity, your ID card. You need to wait for it to be confirmed that your ID is real, and then they can track your porn usage. They will monitor what you watch and create a file of what your kinks are. This already exists.
Legs that were just bursting out of his shoes. It looked gross, and they zoomed in on his hand, and it was bruised and looked gross. Donald Trump, there's one thing about him that is so predictable. He cares about physical appearance, and when something looks gross on him, it makes him angry, okay? Like when I talk about his smell, he hates that. And so he saw the comments about all of this, which is like, what's up with his legs? They're gross, the hands. And so they came out and announced that Donald Trump, from vigorous handshaking, has a bruise on his hand. I don't buy that. But that he has venous insufficiency, which is why there's swollen legs, not a big deal. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe true, probably is. I don't know. I know he's sick in the head. And so that's what I'm more concerned about. This guy is not only sick in the head, he evidently had a great association with Jeffrey Epstein that he doesn't want to talk about anymore. The House and Senate just passed, and so it's going to be signed into law, a rescission package. What that means is that there's $9 billion that was being spent that is now not being spent and returned to the Treasury. This is the thing that defunds PBS and NPR now, so there will be no more public funding for public.
Yep, there goes Elmo.
Broadcasting. And on top of that, they've defunded a significant part of USAID, which are these...
So Trump just like literally banned Sesame Street.
Very important programs that we use to help
people. For the $5, this is my first donation, Chris. Been watching for a while. Admire the work you're doing. Keep up the great work, and I hope you run for Congress. # save us. Thank you, Abel Reyes. I need a little bit more time, a little bit more money, and a little bit more clout before I can run for Congress. If I tried to run for Congress right now, I would probably actually get steamrolled by mainstream media. I need more money and time.
People around the world that need it. And it's not just about being good in our heart. It's actually a thing of soft power. So it's when we're in Africa and you see these big bags of food that say provided by the people of the United States of America, that's an important tool.
Said they have banned it down there. No state has completely banned all pornographic content, which are implementing measures to limit minors' access to increase oversight. Look at this. Hold on. Trump porn ban. I think for the $10, what do you think it'll take for people to take up arms and actually fight for their rights? White people getting deported. Excuse me, PBS. Here it is. Porn would become illegal in the United States under proposed bill. It would define obscenity as content that appeals to an excessive amount of interest in nudity or sex, shows or describes real or fake sexual acts, lacks scientific, political, artistic, or literary value. It would add all pornography, including any depiction of sexual acts that lack serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value, to the definition of obscenity. That would make it illegal to distribute or consume porn regardless of the material's intent. So, listen. The Trump regime literally wrote a bill, proposed a bill, and we are still waiting for it to be signed on, that bans all porn federally. You said I had to use facial recognition. I literally didn't say the words facial recognition. I don't know if you're hallucinating or just a fucking moron, but nobody said anything about facial recognition.
To buy goodwill for people in international relations. There's also a story about 500 tons of food that is going to have to be incinerated that exists in Africa, in the starving country, but they canceled the funding to distribute it. So the food exists. They canceled the funding to distribute it, and so now they're going to spend money to destroy the food that otherwise could have gone to people and fed the hungry. This is what's happening in these so-called rescission packages, and they're talking about doing another one. So stay tuned for that. I do want to talk kind of lastly about Ukraine this week. The president, Donald, I'm not going to call him the president, Donald, announced that he will allow NATO to buy U.S. weapons that they can then give to Ukraine. This is good. It's positive. I think personally we should be giving weapons to Ukraine, and you know, we can do it as a loan and get paid back eventually if we have to, but it's a fraction of the money we spend on defense every year to actually take on one of our chief enemies, Russia. So it's actually a really good deal. But regardless, that's a positive step at least. The most important thing Ukraine needs, yes, some offensive weapons, some deep strike capability, which they're developing very well on their own, but also they need air defense. And so to the extent that more air defense is going to go in, that is a good thing. But Donald Trump also inexplicably said that he's now giving Putin 50 days to come to the table for a ceasefire. That's a long time. I don't know why he said 50 days, why he didn't say a week, a day, 24 hours. He said 50 days.
This is the $5. There's no such thing as fighting dirty if you win. Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I've never heard of that before. Good luck, man. Have a good one. I wish I had whatever's in that vape pen. It's nicotine, dog.
Basically time to finish their summer offensive, which they're on right now. Losing a ton of men, 1,500 men a day is what Russia's been losing, really since the start of the war. And so they can't keep this up for much longer. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in 50 days. Does Donald Trump create another 2-week deadline, right? And it just moves on? Or is he actually serious about these secondary sanctions, which would be forced on Russia to try to force them to the table? One other thing that was kind of weird.
I disagree with Adam there. Putting sanctions on Russia has never once worked. Russia is a part of the BRICS nations. They trade with 48% of the human population. They do not need American trade. They've never once suffered from an American sanction. You smoke weed? Hella fucking weed.
Donald Trump announced it yesterday or a couple of days ago that he talked to the Coca-Cola people, and they're now going to use cane sugar and not high fructose corn
Yeah,
syrup.
which is going to be fucking shipped in from Mexico, you dumb fuck. You want to know why we use corn syrup in our Coca-Cola in the United States of America? Because of our corn farmers. It was a way to help our corn farmers make some more money by selling high fructose corn syrup. Now, is that better for you than sugar? No. It was they chose profit over health. But now Donald Trump is saying we're going to choose health over profit, or flavor. He doesn't give a fuck about health. So what he's doing is fucking over American corn farmers in order to get better tasting Coca-Cola.
Coke is like, yeah, that's not true. So anyway, whatever. So stupid. President of the United States should be dealing with big things, and he also shouldn't be lying to the American people. Anyway, thanks for being part. Thanks for
what do you mean? What are you talking about? Us using high fructose corn syrup in all of our shit absolutely helps corn farmers. What? What are you talking about? It profits huge Who's the agribusiness? Who's the agricultural business? Corn farmers. Oh my God, this guy's so fucking stupid. Not the farmers, dude. Oh, okay, so the people who grow corn aren't benefiting from selling corn? Look at him, he's crashing the fuck out. He just, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 messages in less than 30 seconds. So wait, don't ban this guy. Hold on, Brent. You're saying that the use of corn syrup in the United States doesn't help corn farmers make more money. That's the argument you're about to die on? That's the hill you're going to die on? He's not smart? No, clearly he isn't. Is that genuine, the hill that you're about to die on, Brent? Of course it makes no fucking sense. Of course it makes no fucking sense. Corn farmers meaning small farmers or big business. Oh my God, and now we're deporting the goalpost. Let's start again and I'll speak slow for you, dipshit. America using corn syrup as a sweetener instead of sugar helps corn farmers sell more corn. Do you disagree with that? Do you disagree with that, Brent? Who gets the subsidy? Answer my question, dumb fuck. Do you disagree that by selling high fructose corn syrup, you help corn farmers make more money? Oh my God, this guy's so fucking stupid. Alright, we're just gonna ignore this guy. What a fucking dipshit. Dude, that's like if I grew, or if I raised cattle, right? I had a whole bunch of cows. And then we said, we're only gonna get red meat from Mexico. And I go, what? This dumb fuck says, that won't affect your business at all. You fucking dipshit. Great argument. Dude, I'm not arguing with you. I'm bullying you now. I think you're very, very stupid. I'm not trying to argue with somebody that fucking stupid, bro. I'm just insulting you now.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Donald Trump is doing his best to fight his way out of the Jeffrey Epstein mess he has created for himself. Tonight, filing a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal.
I don't know why this guy got so triggered. I think that maybe he's a corn farmer.
News Corp and Rupert Murdoch himself for their report of his alleged birthday letter to Epstein. This while his Department of Justice scrambles to kinda appear to release some of the Epstein files in an effort, obviously, to placate his agitated MAGA base. We're going to get to the lawsuit in a minute. But first, the Department of Justice filed a motion to unseal grand jury information from both the case of late child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein and his associate, currently in federal prison, Ghislaine Maxwell. On its face, it appears to be a good thing because people want transparency. They want the files released. But there's a huge caveat here. Not only is the department going to redact identifying information about the victims, which they very well should, they are also going to redact identifying information about anyone else whose name might come up in the documents in question. Quote, the department will work with the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York to make appropriate redactions of victim-related information and other personal identifying information prior to releasing the transcripts. Obviously, all victim-related information absolutely must be redacted. But also, like, why redact the other personal identifying information? I mean, if you are trying to look like you're transparent...
This is exactly what I'm trying to tell you guys. They're going to release a version of the Epstein files, but it's going to be like a whitewashed, bleached version that doesn't include Trump's name, doesn't include Bill Clinton, doesn't include any of the elites that we know. It's going to be like random fucking people. But yeah, sure, I'm a dipshit that you have to bully. Oh my God. All right, I'm going to ask you one last question to dictate if you're actually stupid or if you're trolling. If corn farmers sell less corn, is that good for them or bad for them? This is the easiest question of all time. No, did you ban him? Why'd you fucking ban him? Why'd you fucking ban him? Fuck! For what?
Looking like you're covering something up. That seems like probably not the best way to go about it. But that is not the only big revelation we got today. The top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, which of course oversees the FBI and the Department of Justice, now says that the Bureau agents were instructed to flag to DOJ about any Epstein records that mention Donald Trump. Get this is a new letter out today to Attorney General Pam Bondi from Ranking Member Dick Durbin, who writes this, quote, according to information my office received, you pressured the FBI to put approximately 1,000 personnel.
Chris, why the fuck are you reading chat and not me? Jack, shut your fucking slut mouth.
And its Information Management Division on 24-hour shifts to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records, adding, quote, my office was told these personnel were instructed to flag any records in which President Trump was mentioned. What? And all this comes just a day after that shocking story in the Wall Street Journal about what the paper described as a, quote, bawdy birthday letter bearing Trump's signature written to Epstein back in 2003.
With people that ban others. Are you defining farmer as the agricorp that makes huge amounts of money? Are you defining corn farmers to be a small farmer? It matters. No, it doesn't, dipshit. So again, I'm going to ask you this question. Try really hard to be brave and answer it without moving the goalpost. If corn farmers sell less corn, is that good for them or bad for them? Very simple question. A second grader could answer this. So try to be a big, brave boy and answer that question. Please. Please. I'd love to know. Which one? Is it good for them or bad for them if corn farmers sell less corn? I reject the premise of your Were you fucking Jordan Peterson? Oh my God, suck my dick, you fucking loser.
Quoting from the Journal's description, the letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy, like others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. The Journal says that inside the outline of the naked woman was an imaginary typewritten conversation between Trump and Epstein, the third person, which included this line, Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? And ended with Trump. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. What's more, the document in question was at one point in possession of the DOJ, or at the very least, it was something reviewed by Department of Justice investigators in their prosecutions of Epstein and or his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. To be clear, Trump denies having anything to do with the letter. He is suing the Wall Street Journal over this reporting after having threatened to do so. Quoting from the paper, in an interview with the Journal on Tuesday evening, Trump denied writing the letter or drawing the picture. This is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story, he said. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women, he said. It's not my language. It's not my words.
I see it. I see
Donald
it.
Trump has written many pictures in his life, like the ones you are seeing on your screen right now. In fact, people have been surfacing these pictures all day. It seems to be kind of like a thing he's into, actually. I've got to say, when the whole Epstein story first resurfaced, with the 2-page memo from the Department of Justice saying, it's done, case closed, nothing to see here, no client list, no nothing, right?
It would hurt anybody who grows and sells corn. Big AG could suffer less because they have more of a financial cushion. Small farmers would suffer more because they have less to begin with. Yeah, I mean, listen, you know how fucking stupid you have to be to say confidently if corn farmers sold less corn, they wouldn't be affected by it? Like, you actually have to have a mental disability to think something like that.
Instinct was not that there was an active cover-up of stuff about Donald Trump in the files. I thought...
Adam Kinzinger just texted me. Adam Kinzinger just texted me an article that he wants me to pull up. Adam, are you watching this right now? What's good, Congressman? Egghead just became a loyalist. Thank you very much. Adam just told me to pull this up. Are you fucking kidding? Where'd Brent go? Did he run? Brent says Adam Kinzinger, he also spelled his name wrong, is a coward that ran away instead of fighting. Get away from the conservatives of all stripes. I feel like you're a Fed poster. Are you a Fed? Because you're saying that you don't like the one Republican who doesn't like Donald Trump. Very strange. Anyway, let's read it. America, meet the Trump Mamdani voter. Yes, such a person exists. Should anyone be surprised? Could they be real? New York City residents who supported Donald Trump, hero of the modern right, in last year's presidential contest, and Zohran Mamdani, great hope of the progressive and the left, in last month's mayoral primary. Let's ask around. Trump and Zohran specifically? Gosh, I can't think of a specific person. I haven't seen any data on that. Let's see. Yahya Obaid, an immigrant from Yemen and an air traffic control supervisor at JFK Airport. Obaid, a leader in the Yemeni American community, voted for both Trump and Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez last election, and then talked to multiple reporters about it. He said, I'm right here, you little bitch. What else? More DSA candidates, please? Yeah, I'm in the DSA. Brother, I'm in the DSA. Like, I help work with Zohran Mamdani. I don't understand what your problem with me is, other than the fact that I called you out when you said that selling less corn wouldn't affect corn farmers. Like, is that interaction really just going to drive a wedge into your heart and say, Chris Valenti is an enemy of the people? And a bully? Yeah, dude, fucking cry about it, Snowflake. I don't give a fuck. Fucking cry about it. We reached Obaid by phone when he was at Home Depot buying supplies for an upcoming move to Morris Park. As it turned out, Obaid did not vote for Mamdani, but only because a family emergency pulled him away on the day of the election, he said. But he does like Mamdani and endorsed him on social media after hosting him at a candidate forum in the Bronx in May. And for nothing, he can't stand Cuomo. That's the one goddamn thing every New Yorker can agree on. Everything is about him and his family. To the point where he renamed the Tappan Zee Bridge, right? Yep. Fucking narcissist renamed the Tappan Zee Bridge into the Mario Cuomo Bridge. What a fucking bum. Adam goes, it's insane. I get voting for one or the other, but not voting for both. It's impossible. Hold on. You'd be surprised by how stupid New Yorkers can be, bro. Very surprised. Oh, what did Brent say? He said, that's my problem. Lol. The one triggered person is you, Walenti. And then, so still smarter than you. Brother, you're having a full-fledged fucking crash out in a YouTube chat. Bro, do you do therapy? Because you very well may need it, dog. Oh. Renamed it under his father's name, Mario Cuomo. Really, like the Tappan people, the natives of this land. The Tappan people. The bridge was named after them, and you took away their fucking name? Dude, it's so fucking true. Like, no one ever talks about the fact that we just renamed a Native American named bridge to Mario Cuomo. Like, what are we talking about? Get mad again, Valenti. It's hilarious. Yeah, bro. 'Cause I've been seething this whole live stream, fucking boiling, smoke coming out of my fucking ears. All right, let's see. Juan de la Cruz, a 32-year-old client account outside of executive for Verizon. He used to be a Democrat. A few years ago, he was on his way back from getting a haircut, and he was mugged by two men on motorcycles who took his jewelry. He said he recognized a Venezuelan flag patch on one of their leather jackets. The experience made him switch parties, thinking Trump's plan to seal the border would make the country safer. Excuse me. Rewind and look at yourself, says Brent. Hold on, let me go back up here. Where's the part where he messaged like 8 times in a row? Oh, it's too far back. But yeah, no, dude, definitely, yeah, no. I'm the one triggered who, when you got, I think you commented 8 times in 30 seconds. You're uneducated, you're stupid, you're uneducated. All right, anyway. He also voted for Trump, but De La Cruz says he's feeling unsettled by how the president is treating legal immigrants. It didn't seem fair to him that permanent residents, like the activist Mahmoud Khalil, could be targeted for saying they support Palestinians, many of whom own businesses where he lives. He thought those who were here illegally should get deported, but with due process. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? He says now, and yet stands by his vote for Trump. I did what I thought was right. These fucking idiots, bro. Since he's now a Republican, De La Cruz wasn't eligible to vote in the mayoral primary. Did you guys hear about how many Republicans went to go vote in the New York City Democrat primary and were like wildly surprised that they weren't allowed to vote? People are so fucking stupid, dog. People are so fucking stupid. Hold on, wait, I don't know if we're trying to ban Brent, but I just want to ask him this question again to see, just because it's funny. So again, Brent, if corn farmers sell less corn, is that good or bad for them? Watch, he's gonna, I reject the premise of your question. I reject the question. There it is. Define corn farmers. Farmers who farm corn. I reject the question, because the premise is not good enough. He was struck by one of Mamdani's campaign refrains, which De La Cruz now paraphrased. Every politician, they all say that New York is the best city in the world. But what's the best city if its people can't afford to live in it? Hundo motherfucking P. Hundo motherfucking P. All I wanted was you. This is a crazy fucking article, dude. People are so goddamn stupid. People are so goddamn stupid, bro. Don't ban him yet? No. We need. It's nice having a lol cow. We have someone to point and laugh at.
As Donald Trump faces a growing...
What is this fuck-ass outfit? What is this fuck-ass outfit?
Pile of legal and ethical scandals, there's one thing that's been getting lost in all the noise. His actual policies are deeply, wildly unpopular. I feel like you probably know that watching this show. So unpopular, in fact, that Trump's disapproval rating has now hit a record high of 55%. That's
It looks like he just stepped out of the Jedi Temple.
According to a new Economist and YouGov poll. The drop comes amid growing backlash to the administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case, but the broader trend is clear.
All right, let's do it again. Hey, Brent, is it good or bad for corn farmers when they sell less corn? Watch. The guy literally can't answer this. He can't answer this question. It's so fucking funny.
This week, Good Trouble protests named for the late Congressman John Lewis have mobilized at more than 1,500 sites across all 50 states as organizers call out what they describe as a sweeping assault.
Which corn farmers? The farmers who farm corn. Is it good or bad for them when they sell less corn?
On civil rights, democracy, and the rule of law. And that energy is showing up in the numbers. A new CNN poll shows Democrats are significantly more energized than Republicans heading into next.
Nobody said subsidies, so I'll try and ask you real slow, you dumb fuck. If corn farmers sell less corn, is that good or bad for their sales? Real slow for you. You can do it, buddy. You can do it. Try real hard. Try real hard. You can do it, buddy. I believe in you. We all believe in you, brother. You're capable of answering. Oh my God, that's so embarrassing.
Here's midterm. 72% of Democrats say they're, quote, extremely motivated to vote. That's a full 22-point advantage over Republicans. Meanwhile, Trump's legislative agenda is tanking in public opinion. Nearly 6 in 10 Americans oppose his so-called Big Beautiful Bill, thanks in large part to its deep cuts to Medicaid and other essential programs.
Talking about corn syrup, which is tied to subsidies. All right, how about this one? What vegetable does corn syrup come from, Brent? Which vegetable does corn syrup come from, Brent? This one should be easy. This one should be easy. Why do we produce so much corn? No. I ask the questions. You answer them. Which vegetable does corn syrup come from, Brent? No, I won't answer a liar. All right, I'll help you. The answer is corn.
Hope he knows it. Just this week, Vice President J.D. Vance was in Pennsylvania asking Republicans...
He's actually the same fucking thing.
...to, quote, talk to your friends about the bill. Let your buddies know. They probably don't want to, which, let's be honest, is not where you want to be with your signature legislation. Vaughn Hilliard and Tara Setmeyer are back with us. Vaughn, I want to start with some of that polling. One, this CNN poll that finds...
Thank you for the $20. It's all point and laugh. Everybody point and laugh at Brent. Everybody point and laugh at Brent.
Trump's approval rating among Republicans and independents. So first, 88% with Republicans, 32% with independents. So he feels pretty good there. But then when you look at his immigration approval also, CNN poll, down 10 points since March, 51% in March, 42% of people approve of how he's handling immigration in July. How is the, I mean, I've heard them say this over and over and over again to my face, and not that, you know, the polls don't matter. They're fake polls. If he doesn't like it, they're not real polls. But how are they actually looking at these numbers? Because they see it too, and they understand there's a problem.
Well, so far they're not reversing course.
Right.
Which I think is telling in its own way. because this is a president and an operation around him that feels like they are able to control the numbers. They don't have a history of being overly reactive. And they double down, they make the case or make an explanation. And in this case, just this week, they attack, right. And in this case this week, I mean, we're seeing ICE agents still...
I think he ran, probably.
...going into Home Depot parking lots and chasing people. And I think most Americans are familiar with going to Home Depot and knowing that people are looking for work. Human beings are looking for work. And so I think that the images that we have seen over the last 3 months tell a very real story of people living in this country who are running from the Trump administration. That's very different when people see visually the impact of policy versus in 2024 the idea of mass deportation and the idea that we're going to get rid of criminals, because in this case it wasn't a targeting of, for example, using the Home Depot example, it's not a targeting of specific people, it is just going and hoping that you catch criminals.
You know, Tara, to pick up on something Vaughn just said about President Trump and his administration don't have a history of being overly reactive, and I want to pull up that poll number, that polling that Eugene just brought up about Republicans and their approval of the president's job at 88%. Does that explain why the president and his administration aren't being overly reactive? Because that's the number he most...
I'm also getting bored with, what the fuck was his name? What the fuck is his name? Brent? I just had to block a bunch of people who don't know what public policy is. Why do we grow so much corn in the U.S.? Subsidies. Who gets those money? The agribusiness. The small farmers get pushed out. Think of the $10 battle, Mason. Let's break it down simple. Even if corpo farmers make the most of corn syrup, leaves small farmers for food. Leaves small farms for food corn. Makes the market so big corpos can't fill it. I mean, dude, it's the easiest thing in the world. Let's take corn out of it. I'm gonna ask Brent one more question because I am getting bored with him. We will ban him soon. Brent, let's take corn out of the equation. I grow cherries. My job is to sell cherries. I'm a cherry farmer. If I sell less cherries than I did last year, is that good or bad for my business? Such an incredibly simple question. Come on, Brent. Try to be a big, brave boy. Try to be a big, brave boy. Full ban or 24? Just put him in a 24 timeout. He'll come back. Come on, Brent. Brent said bye. Oh, he ran. He ran away. That sucks.
Cares about. So he couldn't care less what the overall country thinks about what he's doing. He only cares about what his supporters, what Republicans think about what he's doing. And right now at 88%, there's another poll with him at 90% approval among Republicans. That's what matters to him.
It does, but it's still down from where it had been before. And even Steve Bannon admitted that if you
Country girls do make do, Alexandra. Country girls do make do.
1 or 2% shift in MAGA support for Donald Trump or Republican support for Donald Trump, that Democrats could win 40 seats in the House in the midterms. The swing districts are what the people inside, the strategists inside the White House, understand that those are the districts that matter. It doesn't matter whether Marjorie Taylor Greene wins her district by 80 points or 75 points. It matters if in places like Pennsylvania 8, which is where Donald Trump deployed J.D. Vance this week, which is a swing district that a Republican won, took out a Democratic incumbent by about 1 percentage point. That's why J.D. Vance went there to sell this bill, because he knows that those are the districts that Democrats need to win back, and those are the districts they need to hold if they want to keep control of the House. That's why the Seneca Project created an ad called Big Beautiful Betrayal, going after Donald Trump and the Republicans for voting for this bill. There's nothing beautiful about this bill. And the more that people find out about it, and the more that Republicans have to defend the 17 million people losing health care, grandma or mom getting kicked out of her nursing home, the hungry children losing food assistance, ICE agents, masked ICE Gestapo agents getting more funding than any other law enforcement agency in the history of the United States, now getting more funding at the expense of the American people. And oh, by the way, it's enriching the billionaire buddies of Donald Trump. That, the more people know about that, the more they don't like it, including...
I don't understand why Republicans are surprised. You know, like, Donald Trump has always been for the billionaires. This shouldn't even be news. I kind of got to piss. Get more coffee. Here, watch this while I go take a piss.
Begin this hour with the continued fallout from President Donald Trump over the Jeffrey Epstein files and the calls for accountability from the Department of Justice. In a move seen as trying to win over the MAGA base, the DOJ filed a motion yesterday to unseal grand jury transcripts related to Jeffrey Epstein. There is no word yet from the federal judge whether he will agree to the request, but even so, the move would fall short of what some MAGA loyalists are calling for, which is the release of all documents and evidence related to the Epstein case. For embattled Attorney General Pam Bondi, this may be seen as a chance to try to get some relief from the MAGA calls for her ousting. According to new reporting from NBC News, Donald Trump has grown weary of having to defend Bondi's handling of the Epstein files and wants her to take responsibility for cleaning up the mess. That's according to 4 people familiar with White House deliberations. Joining us now, MSNBC political analyst and Boston Globe columnist Kimberly Atkins-Storr. She is also the co-host of the #Sisters-in-Law podcast and former federal prosecutor and former lawyer with the DOJ National Security Division, Brendan Ballou. Thank you both very much for coming to the weekend. On this point about Attorney General Pam Bondi and the president being mad at her because she's not handling this well, the former Attorney General of the United States, Brendan, Eric Holder, was on All In with Chris Hayes on Thursday. Here's how he views what's happening in this whole Epstein mess with the president and the Attorney General. Let's just play this.
I think people need to ask themselves, in terms of the release of materials, do you really think that Pam Bondi and the Justice Department are making the determination as to what gets released? Or, because she is the lawyer for Donald Trump as opposed to the American people, or is her client, Donald Trump and the people in the White House, making the ultimate decision? And I think that it is clearly the White House that's making the determination about the release of these materials.
And so then, Brendan, if the president's upset, shouldn't he be upset with himself and the people around him?
Absolutely. You know, the stunning thing about this is this president is happy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As the House considers the defense appropriation bill today that costs the American people $831 billion, it's important to talk about that this is the funding for our great men and women serving in our military and our nation's defense. The Department of Defense's mission statement is to deter war and ensure our nation's security, and that is worthy of the American people's hard-earned tax dollars. However, the American people are $37 trillion in debt. So this is money that is being spent that they already don't have. My amendment would strike $500 million in funding for nuclear-armed Israel's missile defense system.
Has hell frozen over? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for the defunding of Israel?
And it's important to phrase it that way. Israel is a nuclear-armed nation, which is very capable of defending themselves, and they have been proving that so as we've watched on the world stage. The U.S. already provides Israel with $3.8 billion annually in foreign aid. $3.8 billion, that's a lot of money. Additionally, the April 2024 security supplemental included $8.7 billion for Israel. That is nuclear-armed Israel. And during the recent 12-day war, the U.S. used 15 to 20% of our terminal high-altitude area defense missiles stockpiles defending nuclear-armed Israel, which cost us over $800 million. The $500 million provided in this bill will fund Israel's, that is nuclear-armed Israel's, missile defense system, the Iron Dome, David Sling, Arrow system. Yet Israel is a nuclear-armed nation. That's a pretty big deterrent for any of their enemies. Any nation that has a nuclear bomb has the greatest threat against their enemies. U.S. aid typically accounts for 15 to 20% of Israel's defense budget, even though Israel, nuclear-armed Israel, has universal health care for their citizens and subsidized college for their citizens. They're able to provide that. However,
so Israel's got free healthcare and free college, and we fucking don't. And we are paying for Israel's free healthcare and free college. Like, do I even have to say anything, bro? Do I even have to say anything about that? That's the stupidest fucking shit ever.
Here in America, we're $37 trillion in debt. My amendment to strike $500 million in foreign aid will ensure an America First Department of Defense, and that is exactly what we need and we haven't had for a very long time. Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
Gentlelady reserves. For what purposes, gentleman from California seek recognition?
I rise in opposition to the amendment.
Gentleman is recognized.
The gentlelady's amendment would strike $500 million in funding for the vital Israeli missile defense capability. Over the past 2 years, Israel repeatedly has been attacked by Iran and its terrorist proxy groups, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. Each time, these groups have vowed to destroy the state of Israel. The United States have affirmed our resolve to stand with Israel by helping defend against the recent missile raids launched by Iran against Israel's civilian population. The success of Israel's robust missile defense capability is in part because these funds were provided in this bill and prior bills. Furthermore, this funding benefits our own missile defense industrial base as it provides for co-production activities and shared technology development. It's certainly to our mutual advantage. With that, I urge a no vote on the amendment and reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves.
Oh, excuse me, would yield 90 seconds to the ranking member and gentlelady from Minnesota.
Gentleman yields. The gentleman reserves. The gentlelady from Minnesota is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to this amendment. To be clear, I have disagreements with Prime Minister Netanyahu's government. Israel totally had the right to defend itself after the heinous attacks on October 7th, and all the hostages should come home. But the Israeli military campaign has been an absolute tragedy for the people of Palestine. The people of Gaza are in desperate need of more humanitarian relief, which I strongly support. But the funding in this bill does not support offensive weapons for Israel. That's funding in a separate appropriations bill. This bill provides for defensive measures only, like Iron Dome, which I support. Safety is what everyone in the region deserves. Israeli children deserve to go to bed at night knowing that missiles from Yemen, Iran, or from the Houthis or anywhere else in the
Israeli children deserve the chance. Brother, where is this energy for any child with brown skin? Where is this energy for a single Palestinian child, or a single Yemeni child, or a single Iranian child? None of it. No energy.
Region will not rain down on them. And Palestinian children deserve to go to bed at night knowing that their schools, their hospitals, and their homes will not be bombed. And that's what we all need to work towards, peace. I urge the defeat of this amendment, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields. Gentlewoman from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Israel is a nuclear-armed nation, and they're less than $400 billion in debt. They are quite a thriving and successful nation. Their economy is strong. They're doing a great job for their people. However, the United States, the American citizens, are $37 trillion in debt. Yet we're continuing to send hundreds of billions of dollars in foreign aid constantly to foreign countries. This has to end at some point. Our problems here at home for Americans and the American taxpayer that are paying for all of this have gotten too large.
Searching, I have no health care and I'm 27.
And I also want to point out that Israel bombed a Catholic church in Gaza, and that an entire population is being wiped out as they continue their aggressive war in Gaza. Now, we are heartfelt about the October 7th tragedy, that when people were killed, innocent people were killed. However, at some point, the United States needs to recognize that Israel is a strong country. They are nuclear armed, and they are capable of defeating their own enemies. It's right to stop funding this as we give them $3.8 billion every single year anyway.
Hello, MPV.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for support for my amendment, and I yield the remainder of my time.
Gentlewoman yields back.
I can't fucking believe that I'm on Marjorie Taylor Greene's side. This is the same woman who said that Jewish space lasers lit Hawaii on fire.
Gentleman from California is recognized.
I yield 60 seconds to the gentleman from Florida.
Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in opposition to
Oh,
this America.
this motherfucker. What the fuck is his name? Fine? Something Fine? This guy's one of the most xenophobic and Islamophobic people I've ever seen.
Last amendment and reject the premise of the arguments that are being made. There are 600,000 Americans who live in Israel, and one rocket has been fired against every 23 of them. 26,000 rockets since October 7th.
Brent is
43
back.
American.
Wait. Commercial farms led to government payments in 2021. Brother, I think you may have autism. The way you are hyper fixated on corn is insane.
Killed on October 7th, 12 taken hostage. But more importantly, the research that this fund is the premise behind the Golden Dome. When we support research and development for the Iron Dome, we are creating the capability for the United States to defend itself as well. And I have news. We have a nuclear weapon too. That doesn't get you off the hook with those who are out to get you. When we pass this, when we oppose this amendment, when we vote it down, we are not only standing with Israel, we are standing with the best interests of the United States. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman yields.
Yield back.
All right, we're going to make a rabbit hole. We're going to make a rabbit hole. Let's shift the narrative, huh? How about that time Israel bombed us?
The CIA collaborated with the Israeli government and maneuvered a U.S. ship to this position to be killed, to be destroyed. The mission was for it to be totally destroyed. So you don't have people coming on my show telling you what they saw that day. Like, they all were supposed to be dead. Gulf of Tonkin, Remember the Maine. You could go down the list. 9/11. Drones over the east coast of the United States. These false flags work for a reason.
But you can't kill your own people.
Yes, you
You're not allowed
can.
to do that. That's just got to be a red line.
The CIA would never kill its own people.
You can't kill your own people, period.
Yeah, you can.
You're supposed to protect your own people. You're in charge of these people.
Right.
It's like killing your own children.
Tuskegee experiment. You can't kill your own people. You can't put American ships and American sailors in waters and then test nuclear weapons on them. The CIA collaborated with the Israeli government and maneuvered a U.S. ship to
USS Liberty is a story that's been covered up for far too long. You've never heard it because it was covered up. They used us, the crew of the USS Liberty, to be eliminated by the Zionist State of Israel. LBJ and a handful of others, McNamara is a good example. They got this cabal of a few people together to send us into a war zone. Our usual steaming was from Norfolk, Virginia into Africa. We go up and down the coast all the time. All the time. 4 or 5 knots picking up signals out of the sky. It's perfectly legal. Everybody did it. And we were the most sophisticated spy ship in the world at that time. The most sophisticated. We could bounce messages off the moon and get them back to the National Security Agency within 3 seconds. In 1967, think about that. So what do you think they got now? There's no telling. There's just no telling. I saved this for you, too. You have another gift. Tom? On June the 8th, the same thing happened over and over again. Now, listen, on that ship, if you weren't working, you could be outside sunbathing. And here we are in the Mediterranean, beautiful, beautiful water. But you see the bombs going off. We were 12.5 miles off the Sinai. You can see the bombs bursting and the blackening. He said, oh my God, I'm glad we're here and not over there. Little did we know, at 2 o'clock, the attack began. I had just left the forward gun mount. We had a general quarters drill before that because we drilled on that ship all the time to
see what the AI says. 1967 attack on the USS Liberty by Israeli forces during the Six-Day War remains a highly controversial event. The official explanation is that following its investigation stated that the attack was a tragic error due to mistaken identity. Bullshit. Oh, for an Egyptian vessel. Yeah, bullshit. Israeli forces had multiple opportunities to identify the USS Liberty and the USS ship. Attacks on life rafts. Some survivors claim that the Israeli forces deliberately targeted the life rafts in the water. Wow.
So maybe it's a good idea that we just kind of like start with the case for Epstein being intelligence, because what I've seen quite recently.
Andrew Schultz is the least funny comedian I think I've ever seen. He's not funny. Does anybody think this guy's funny?
Is a lot of people kind of wiping the record and acting like this is pure conspiracy, that he did have any ties or connections. And I think there's a lot of we have a lot of tidbits of information that we've all kind of collected, and there's this collective conscious that he absolutely is. So, what is the argument for it? Maybe give us some backstory. I know you put together something amazing, so just break it down. Who is this Epstein character that we all think we know so well?
I'll start off from the top. I totally understand people who are saying it's a conspiracy theory, and in large part, I think it's because it's been wildly overstated by some people, which is natural in open environment, right? They're like, he's obviously Mossad, he's obviously CIA, this is part of a blackmail ring. And in my opinion, the American people actually have it right. They just don't have the language, the facts, and they need to pull it together. And I want them to have the information that they have to be able to make that case, especially whenever we have the former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett just yesterday, who said unequivocally Epstein did not work for Mossad. Now remember, there are key terms here that matter. Work is not the same as asset or worked.
And General Yeshayahu Benket, the head of Israeli Air Force intelligence. Kislev told his pilots that, quote, if they could confirm that it was a military ship, they could hit it, end quote. The naval contingent was also on the alert. Bennett wanted to have positive identification of the ship that may have been involved. Israeli McNamara recalled the jets. However, the attacks were then renewed for another 80 minutes. This was a strange development.
Why the IDF attack a U.S. ship? Motive? That's what we're trying to figure out, man. They claim it was a complete and total accident. That's bullshit. We have American flags on our ships. You can radio our ships. They confirmed it was an American ship before they attacked us. We're trying to figure out why. What we're trying to figure out now is why. Because there's only a couple of reasons. There's to stage it to make it look like, what was it, Iran in the 6-Day War? To make it look like Iran did it. 6-Day War. Egypt, Syria, and Jordan is who they were at war with. Could be a way to try and pull us in.
Since the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv reported that the Israelis had attacked a ship, but the nationality of the ship was yet undetermined by Israel. If this was true, how would McNamara know to recall the Phantoms, and that it was in fact the Liberty? The SOS was resent after the damaged antenna was repaired again, and it was picked up this time by the aircraft carrier.
I think I have a motive. I believe that the Israelis thought they could kill everybody on the ship. That's why they started strafing the surviving rafts, right? The emergency rafts. Because if Israel was capable of killing everybody on that ship, then there wouldn't have been any survivor stories. They could say, we didn't destroy that ship. That was Egypt. That was Jordan. That was any Arab nation. We didn't do it. And that would have been a great way to pull the Americans into this 6-Day War. The Israelis didn't want the Liberty to do electronic warfare on them. That's why they attacked. What? What sort of excuse is that? You attack your ally, non-enemy, the number one ally that you have. You purposefully attack them? How is that a valid excuse? Liberty was an electronic surveillance ship. Well, let's see. I don't want the incident. I want the ship itself. Belmont-class technical research ship, an electronic spying ship that was attacked by the Israeli Defense Forces during the 1967 Six-Day War. She was originally built and served in World War II. Yada, yada, yada. Attacked the research ship. Israel later apologized for the attack, stating it has mistaken the Liberty for an Egyptian ship, although the reason for the attack has been disputed. Huh. Israelis didn't want their electronic signals to be seen by the U.S., so they attacked. $15. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there's liberty. Thank you for inspiring strength in the community. Thanks, Lex. I appreciate that. Would I ever collab with Dean Withers? Yeah, but he wouldn't fucking like me very much. He would not like me very much. He's super libbed. I'm a socialist, bro. I'd be telling him that he's not going far enough. This is the first time you read about the USS Liberty attack? No, I'm trying to put together links to make a video about it. I've heard of this many a time. Israel is a rogue state. I don't know about that. I think most of, if not everything that they do is with the permission and the money of the United States. I don't think that they're doing anything without our permission. U.S. is a rogue state, too? I guess I gotta know what you mean by rogue state. Rogue state. A nation that is considered a threat to international peace and security. Yes, the United States is absolutely a rogue state, then. Hi. Hi, Bean. Hi, handsome boy. All right. Show kitty. All right, let's make a video. Israel bombed the United States and killed like 34 of our Navy crewmen. Granted, this was in 1967, but I figured that now would be a great time to rehash this problem and bring back to light that Israel is the only nation that has ever bombed the fuck out of us and killed our soldiers, and we just went, that's okay, we forgive you. And we're going to take a deep dive into this. Welcome to Rabbit Hole. It's been a while. I took like 2 or 3 weeks off, but we're going to dive into the rabbit hole. Chris swearing in the first 60? I don't give a fuck anymore. We're going to dive into the rabbit hole of the USS Liberty, which was an American ship that was attacked by the Israelis on June 8th of 1967. And then after the ship was, you know, fucked and sinking, and everybody hopped on life rafts to try and escape, while the Israelis, with their planes, then did strafing runs, mowing down everybody that they could. And it begs the question, why? Why? This all happened during the 6-Day War, which was a war between Israel and its Arab neighbors, Egypt, Jordan, who the fuck else? Syria, right? And as we all know, Israel is the 51st state of the United States of America. They are entirely funded by us. One thing that I just want to remind you of is Israel has free college and free healthcare for everybody. Now, the reason why they can afford that is because you paid for it. So did I. I paid for it too. But here in America, no, you don't get free college or free healthcare. But over in Israel, yes, you do, because Israel owns the United States of America, even to the point where Marjorie Taylor fucking Greene is starting to say we need to defund Israel. And that's the same woman who said there were Jewish space lasers frying Hawaii. Okay, so if there's one nation on planet Earth that should be considered an enemy to all humanity, it's Israel. But without further ado, let's dive into the rabbit hole. I have a burp coming. So before I burp, too late. Now that I've burped, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It costs you nothing and it helps me immensely. Now, if you do want to support the channel financially, because this is real independent media and I've never had a conversation with an advertiser, billionaire, or government, which I'm very proud of, if you do want to support the channel, a couple of ways you could do it are becoming a patron on Patreon. You can become a member on YouTube. Massive shout out to the members and the patrons. You guys are great. You can buy merch down below. You can click that thanks button and you can use the discount code for Ground News. Other than that, let's just dive right into this rabbit hole. So we're going to start off with the easy stuff. We're going to start off with the wiki on what the USS Liberty was. Okay? USS Liberty. Here she is. Isn't she beautiful? She's beautiful. It was a Belmont-class technical research ship, an electronic spying ship that was attacked by the IDF during the 1967 Six-Day War. She was originally built and served in World War II as a VC-2 SAP-3 type Victory cargo ship named the SS Simmons Victory. Her keel was laid down on February 1945 at Oregon Shipbuilding Corporation in Portland, Oregon. This is where we get to the juice. In 1967, Israeli Air Force and naval units attacked the research ship during the Six-Day War. Thank you for becoming a loyalist, Ryan. Israel later apologized for the attack, stating that it had mistaken Liberty for an Egyptian ship, although the reason for the attack has been disputed. So, this ship here, it had a whole bunch of American sailors on it, and they were sailing around Israeli waters, all while the Israelis were in this Six-Day War against their Arab neighbors, because if there's one thing that Israel can't stand, it's brown people. And when this American ship, with a U.S. flag on it, with a functioning radio, allies of Israel, when this ship showed up in the water, Israel accurately identified it as an American ship, confirmed that it was an American ship, and was then given authorization to bomb it. And they did. And they killed 34 Americans and attempted to kill the survivors. Okay? So let's go over the actual wiki article about, or sorry, the wiki coverage of the Six-Day War itself so you can understand a little bit of the context. The Six-Day War, also known as the June War, the 1967 Arab-Israeli War, or the Third Arab-Israeli War, was fought between Israel and a coalition of Arab states, primarily Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, from June 5th to June 10th of 1967. Military hostilities broke out amid poor relations between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Now, when they say poor relations, they just mean repeated acts of genocide committed by the Nazi state of Israel, which had been observing the 1949 armistice agreement signed at the end of the First Arab-Israeli War. In 1956, regional tensions over the Straits of Tiran, giving access to Eilat, a port on the southeast tip of Israel, escalated in what became known as the Suez Crisis, when Israel invaded Egypt over the Egyptian closure of maritime passageways to Israeli shipping, ultimately resulting in the opening of the Straits of Tiran to Israel, as well as the deployment of the United Nations Emergency Force along the Egypt-Israel border. Tensions became dangerously heightened. Israel reiterated its post-1956 position that another Egyptian closure of the Straits of Tiran to Israeli shipping would define a casus belli. Now, what does this mean? Casus belli is an act or event that either provokes or is used to justify a war. Casus belli involves direct offenses or threats against the nation declaring the war. So, all right, essentially what we're seeing here is even in 1967, the whole idea of Greater Israel, which we covered previously, already existed. It existed from the moment of Israel's inception in 1948. And that idea was for Israel to expand and conquer all of its Arab neighbors, committing a genocide on all of the Arabs or Muslims in the area. This American ship showed up during the Six-Day War. It was an electronic spying ship. And the Israelis only have two possible explanations. Well, there's three. The first explanation that the Israelis give us is that it was an accident. Now that goes out the window immediately. That's bullshit. They claim that they thought we were an Egyptian ship. That is a lie. Facts don't care about your feelings. So there are only two possible outcomes. One, the Israelis did not want the Americans to be spying on their war crimes. The Israelis they were worried that America would see them committing heinous acts of murder and genocide and that we would broadcast it to the world. So they tried destroying our ship. That one's plausible. But the second one is what I truly believe, which is that this was an attempted false flag event and it failed. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that the Israelis saw this American ship and took it as an opportunity where they said, if we can sink this ship and kill everybody on board, 0 survivors, then we can spin this and say the Egyptians took it out, the Syrians took it out, the Jordanians took it out. Then we can drag America into this 6-day war and we can fully conquer the Arab world. Now, why do I think this? Well, the United States has participated in many false flag events. You know, whether they happened or didn't, they were still false flags. For example, Pearl Harbor. Did Pearl Harbor happen? Yes. Did we allow it to happen and provoke Japan into attacking us at Pearl Harbor and then strategically and coincidentally move our largest aircraft carriers out of the harbor before we were bombed? Yeah. It was a provocation. It was a way to get the American people geared up and ready for war. Did the Gulf of Tonkin happen? The Vietnam War, right? Where American ships were apparently torpedoed by Vietnamese boats and Americans were killed. Well, no, that literally did not happen, right? But it didn't stop people from, like my father, falling for it and growing resentment to the Vietnamese, and then volunteering and being shipped off to a jungle. Same thing with 9/11. Did it happen? Yes. Did we allow it to happen in order to pull us into a war with Iraq and Afghanistan? Also, yes. This is, I believe, a failed attempt at something like that. That the Israelis, the reason why they tried to gun down the survivors was to prevent videos like this from existing, which is an interview with an actual survivor from the attack. It's a very long video. We're not going to watch the entire thing, but we're going to watch some of it because it's important to hear the firsthand account from actual survivors of an Israeli attack on U.S. soldiers.
Keep up our skills. And I loved it. I mean, I loved doing what I did. Firefighting and things like that, damage control. I was in engineering and I enjoyed that too. And at 2 o'clock, the attack began. I just left the forward gun mount where 2 men came up. The gunner's mate was there, man in the gun. We had 4 50 caliber machine guns. And David Skolak, because the sound powered phones weren't working. Now this is before the attack. He came up there. I said, hey, Skolak, go ahead and see if you can get this fixed. The old man wants it fixed. I stayed up a few minutes, and the old man was up on the bridge. And I said, hey, man, I got to go, because the old man did not like anybody standing around. You better be working or sunbathing, but not anything else. So I walked down the starboard ladder. I get to my workstation, was about 30 seconds away, and boom, the attack started. Just before that, they said, prepare to test the motor whaleboat. They do that every day. Make sure it works. And they did that, and I thought the whaleboat blew up for some reason. I started to go out the hatch. I was right next to that. And this chief grabbed me by the back of the neck. He said, man, we're under attack. So I immediately hightail it to my repair station, repair 2 forward.
There's got to be nothing scarier than being an American under attack from Israel, because you will not get authorization to fire back. An Israeli can put a gun in your fucking mouth, and the American politicians will not give you authorizations to fire back. Why? Well, because Israel owns the United States of America through blackmail, through Jeffrey Epstein. Why the fuck do you think Trump refuses to stop funding Israel? It's because if he does, Mossad drops videos of him fucking kids. I mean, it doesn't take a fucking genius to put together the dots.
To take over my duties. Chief Thompson, he's passed now. He was the on-scene leader. I was assistant on-scene leader. Immediately, I became the leader of those men that were left to put out fires, pull men off the deck, and try to save lives. The 2 men I just left, were made into mist with direct hits on that gun mount.
Don't worry, we forgive you, Israel. It was just a mistake. Hey, MAGA watching this, you know, don't touch our boats. I mean, we fucking nuked Japan, you know, and you dumb fucks think that we did it because they touched our boats when it had everything to do with showing the Soviets what sort of weapons we had. But what about this? Are you suddenly complacent and on your knees lapping up the piss puddle from Israel like the good servile dog man you are? Are you okay with Israel turning our boys into pink mist? Is that okay with you? Because it's sure as shit not okay with me.
Within 3 seconds, they took out every tuning antenna on that ship. Within 3 seconds, our 450 caliber machine guns, port, starboard, forward, and on the 03 level. They were gone. Every antenna was gone. And we're under constant attack. Now remember this, those planes were unmarked jets. They were Mystere and Mirage jets, not just 2 jets. There were at least 30 sorties within 25 minutes. Terry Haldebardier was a radioman, and he took that one antenna offline, or we'd have never got a message out. He ran a long wire through to that antenna. He took offline, got it back online, and this was about 10 minutes after the attack started, and the attack lasted by the airplanes for 25 minutes, over and over again. Right throughout
25 minutes is an insanely long time to be under attack from fucking jets in the sky. 25 minutes? That must have been a nightmare. That must have been 25 minutes in hell.
They dropped napalm on us.
They dropped fucking napalm on them? Brother, the fact that we didn't bomb Tel Aviv the next day, the fact that we didn't fucking bomb Jerusalem should be enough to make you pissed off, bro. Brother, I promise you this. If I was the president, if I was Lyndon B. Johnson, and I got word that the Israelis killed 34 of our boys and dropped napalm on one of our ships, I would have fucking nuked Jerusalem. I'm not even being facetious. I would have nuked Jerusalem over that shit.
They did everything they could to kill us. Little did we know that was just to soften us up. Just to soften us up. We thought the attack was over. But Terry had gotten a message out, Rockstar, under attack by unknown jet aircraft. Rockstar, need help. This went out to as far away as Vietnam. The 6th Fleet picked it up. They sent rescue aircraft from the USS Saratoga. Captain Tully, a good friend of mine, he's passed too. World War II veteran, fighter pilot. He's gone now, but his memory isn't. He lost his command because he sent help to us. McNamara called him back. And to his surprise, the American...
McNamara called him back. So the U.S. Air Force, on their way to come help, and the fucking Secretary of Defense calls him up and goes, "Don't you fucking dare." And you don't think this was a collaboration, a collaborative event? Clearly the CIA and Mossad were working together on this. How do we drag the Americans into this fight? Gulf of Tonkin 2, Electric Boogaloo. Bomb us and blame the Egyptians. Because if there is one thing that American politicians really don't give a fuck about, it's dead U.S. soldiers. And I mean that. There are a lot of things that the U.S. government doesn't give a fuck about. But the top of the line thing that they couldn't give less of a fuck about is dead U.S. soldiers. We don't give a shit about dead U.S. soldiers because we've always got 10 more to replace them.
They did not launch. About maybe 2 or 3 minutes after that, they launched aircraft from the Saratoga again, and the America before those planes even hit their horizon, they were recalled by LBJ. I don't give a goddamn, excuse my French, if those sailors die. Will not embarrass my ally. Now, how did he know they were our allies?
Exactly. How did Johnson know that we were being bombed by Israel without confirmation? How did he coincidentally simply know you are not retaliating? You are not retaliating.
We didn't know who was attacking us, but he sure did.
Yep.
They set us up to be slaughtered. And the slaughter just started. We saw 3 mortar torpedo boats coming up towards us. Now, I'll remind you, we had Stars of David all inside that ship because we wanted the Israelis to win. I mean, they were our allies. We wanted them to win. Little did I know then, when we saw the flag, that's the only time we knew it was the Israelis. I thought they were there to help us. No, they weren't. They were there to sink us. Now, they fired 5 torpedoes at us. I know where 2 went because I saw them. 2 went aft.
Somebody in chat, Brent, just said OMFG, Johnson was a CIA plant. Wait till you find out who the president before Johnson was.
The other 2 went, I have no clue. I don't have a clue where they went.
Spoiler alert, it was JFK.
But I know where 1 hit. On the starboard side in the research bases where the spies were. Now, these guys were the best, the cream of the crop spies in the world. The very best. And they never talked to us, and we didn't talk to them. It was 2 different crews aboard that ship, the spies and ship's company, which I was ship's company. They never talked to us. But those poor men were blown to bits. They were blown to bits when that torpedo hit. It picked the ship completely up out of the water. And it went down like this. And
I would like to know how the Israelis knew exactly where to send their torpedoes in order to kill the scientists, the spies. See, here's my point. We're not going to watch the rest of this. This is very long. If you do want to watch this interview, The Attack on the USS Liberty, Phil Torney by Mrs. Media. Shout out to Mrs. Media. Great video here. But listen, if you need me to tell you that there's something fishy about this, about the one time somebody attacks our ships and kills our boys and we just forgive them, and how Johnson knew it was the Israelis before the actual guys under attack did, how the Israelis were capable of launching a torpedo at the exact spot where our spies were. If you are capable of seeing all of that and go, no questions asked, it must have just been a mistake, then I've got beachfront property in Kentucky to sell you, bro. Right on. I've got a condo that has a sliding door to the Atlantic Ocean in the middle of Kentucky, if you'd like to buy it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? So here's some of the main players of this. Lyndon B. Johnson, President of the United States. Levi Eshkol, the Prime Minister of Israel. Gamal Abdel Nasser, the President of Egypt and of the United Arab Republic. Yiftah Spector, commander of the Israeli squadron that attacked the USS Liberty. And William McGonigal, the captain of the Liberty. Now, there's also reports that the Israelis, as soon as the Americans abandoned ship and they got into their survivor rafts, the Israeli gunboats and the Israeli planes tried to strafing run and mow down the survivors. Now, that is the final nail in the coffin for me in terms of this being a false flag event. The only reason you would try to murder the survivors is to prevent them from telling the story. And the only reason why we know this story is because of these survivors. If the survivors weren't alive, we would not know that Israel ever bombed an American ship. Ever. Got a little bit of footage of the ship itself.
Your USS America and 2 ships were dispatched. 3 life rafts were deployed so men could get off the burning ship, but the torpedo boats focused their fire, destroying 2 of the life rafts and sweeping the decks to kill as many men as they could to prevent an evacuation. That act alone is a violation of the Geneva Convention.
Oh, the Israelis violated international law? That's so strange.
Not to mention attacking a ship from a non-belligerent nation in international waters. Another strange development was when, after the 2-hour attack, the ship and crew headed to Malta, the 6th Fleet Commander, Rear Admiral Isaac Kidd, ordered the survivors to remove the ship's name from their uniforms. In fact, Admiral Kidd even ordered them to go ashore in civilian clothes, which the men were not supposed to have anyway. They were also told to grant no interviews and do not discuss the situation, even among each other. Otherwise, they would face court-martial and prison, or, even worse, for violating national security. Both Israelis and Americans involved had their opinions on what happened and why. One voice was that of Navy Captain Dr. Richard Kiefer, who was wounded badly himself but worked for 28 hours straight saving lives when he could. He received the Silver Star. Captain William McConaughey received the Medal of Honor for his efforts following the 13 repetitious attacks after his bridge crew were killed, himself badly wounded. His recollection was that the aircraft hit the ship from every direction in multiple waves. Since the attack involved the Israeli Air Force and Navy, that made it a combined arms attack, meaning that it was coordinated, which also meant that command authority came from the seat of government.
So, yeah, so what he's saying is important. So we're talking about a combined attack from the Air Force, from the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli Navy, which would have needed a go-ahead order from somebody in the Israeli government. Now, Israel wants you to believe that they essentially said, we've got a ship in the water. We have no idea who it is. Can we blow it up? And then the Israeli government said, you have no idea who it is? And then they said, no idea. And then Israel said, go ahead and blow it up. Then they blew it up, right? And then the pilot said, yo, shit was American. What do we do? And the Israeli government said, finish them off. There is no spinning this. You can't spin this in a way that makes Israel look good under any circumstance, which is exactly why these sailors were given the order to shut their fucking mouths or face prison time. Just imagine for a second, you get shot at by your best friend. He kills so many people around you, but he manages to not kill you, and it's your best friend. And then your local representative comes in and says, hey, congratulations for surviving. If you ever fucking speak about this ever again, I'm throwing you in prison. Huh? What the fuck are we talking about, dog? What the fuck are we talking about?
The military did not simply attack an unknown ship in international waters, let alone an American ship, without orders. All the crew believed the ship was clearly identified as American, as there were reconnaissance aircraft that passed by close enough for the crew to look into the cockpits. Several high-ranking American military and political persons knew at that time that the attack was deliberate. The question was why. The cover-up was incredible. For example, the press was given limited information to downplay the event. The men were sworn to secrecy, and the Judge Advocate General of the Navy, Admiral Merlin Starling, was given only 24 hours to review the 600-page Court of Inquiry investigation report. He had great reservations about the veracity of the report. In fact, the Navy inquiry did not allow any testimony or evidence regarding the unmarked Israeli aircraft. No information was included about the life rafts that were shot up, or the electronics transmission jamming, or even McNamara's recall of the American fighters. This was the first and only time in U.S. history that a board of inquiry refused to accept testimony from American service members who survived an attack and only accepted the statements of the forces that had attacked them.
So we refused to hear any of the Americans who were attacked, but we listened closely to the Israelis who did the attack. I don't even know what to say other than Israel owns the United States of America. That's, call it anti-Semitic all you fucking want. I don't give a shit. That's reality, bitch. Anyway. Oh, God. Like, I don't understand when or what needs to happen in order for America to finally accept the fact that Israel is not only an enemy of the United States, but they are the enemy of freedom across the world. Israel is an enemy of humanity. Are there innocents in the nation? Of course. Are there children in that nation who did nothing wrong? Of course. Women and old men, and yeah, there's plenty of innocent people. But the nation, the government of Israel, is unironically an enemy to all free people. That's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the deep dive into the history of the USS Liberty, why Israel attacked us, but more importantly, why we forgave them. If you're watching this live, please don't leave. We're going to keep the stream going. If you're watching this pre-recorded on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. Thank you very much for 75,000 subs. We're inching closer and closer to 100K. And if you want to support this channel financially, please do. Become a patron on Patreon, become a member on YouTube, click that thanks button, buy some merch, and use that discount code for Ground News in the description below. One last favor. Click that video right there. It's a banger. And I know bangers. Now that right there, that's a fucking banger. That's a banger. Dude, I'm so good at improv. I went into that with no fucking plan whatsoever, and I made a banger. How old is Israel? What's 2025 minus 1948? They were born in 1948. 77? Yeah, then they're 77 years old. Yes, presidents do have stunt doubles. That's not a conspiracy at all. That's not debatable. Stalin, FDR, Hitler, Churchill, they all had body doubles during World War II. The funniest body double, I think, is Fidel Castro. Oh, hold on, I gotta go back. Fidel Castro, the CIA killed literally dozens of his body doubles. Yeah, we killed literally dozens of his body doubles and never got him. Where is Rabbit Hole? Rabbit Hole. Yeah, I know all about designated survivors. Episode 18. Is he still? No, Castro's dead as fuck, dog. Castro's super dead. Anyone who tries to argue the truth in this stream, try to load the video as it goes on, because what the fuck? I don't know. All right, episode 18. Why we forgave Israel after they murdered our soldiers on the USS Liberty. Why the U.S. forgave Israel after they murdered our soldiers on the USS Liberty. Must be a coincidence, right? Oh, Maddie's awake. Rabbit Hole, episode 18. All I wanted was you. Oh, Luigi didn't like that. This is not made for kids. It does not include AI. Yes, I want the video monetized. This includes a sensitive event dealing with war, death, and tragedy in a non-exploitative or dismissive manner. Include the end screen, which has 1 subscribe to Valenti videos and 1 most recent upload. Complete my copyright check, make the video public, and check the intro. Dude, what the fuck? Watch this. Wait. Come on, play it. Israel bombed the United States and killed like 34 of our... Like, why the fuck does it do that? I'll never get it right. I will never get it right. Publish. All right, video's up. Chris, you need an editor? Yeah, I need money so I can pay an editor. I have a whole mission. The mission is to get enough money to pay an editor and to properly pay Kat, our designer, and then have a way so that while I'm streaming, my editor can make videos while I'm streaming, like Hassan. I don't know if you guys watch Hassan's live stream, but he'll be streaming for 10 hours straight, and while he's streaming, videos are getting pumped out. He's not doing that. He has a team of people doing it. That's the play. That's the plan. Need a thumbnail artist? I'm here for you, baby girl. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But right now, I just literally can't afford to pay any of you. So I'm barely paying my rent as is. Charlie Kirk will blame anything on DEI, bro. Be so fucking for real. I didn't say I wanted money. Yeah, but I'm a good man. I'm not going to let you work for free. That's fucked up. And also, you shouldn't do that. Look at me for a second, Chair Lenti. Don't let nobody work you for free. Even me. Don't let nobody work you for free. Oh, get this. You guys want to hear something crazy that you will not believe? And we can pull this up to cover it. So if you are a dual citizen in the United States, a citizen of Israel and a citizen of the United States, which just means you're Jewish, because if you're Jewish, you get Israeli citizenship. You're never going to believe this. If you are caught or charged for pedophilia in the United States of America, the government of Israel will pay to fly you to Israel and give you refugee status so you cannot be charged in America. Thousands, tens of thousands of pedophiles in the United States, when they are caught, move to Israel because they are protected there. It's not a joke.
A CBS News investigation has uncovered a loophole that allows accused and convicted American pedophiles to escape justice by moving to Israel. So Ian Lee has been following this for more than a year, and he traveled to Israel for this investigation. He worked with a group that tracks people accused of sex crimes, which estimates dozens of...
That's disgusting. No, that's Israeli. You need to stop considering the nation of Israel as like a... good faith neighbor. It is a nation of evil, disgusting creatures that commit genocide and also harbor pedophiles.
Americans have used this loophole.
So, he's 6'2".
We are on a stakeout looking for this man, Jimmy Julius Caro, 48 years old and wanted on charges of sexually assaulting a 9-year-old girl in Oregon back in 2000 and a 5-year-old girl in Israel in 2001. He's considered dangerous. But these photos are a few years old, so we don't know if he'll look the same. He remains elusive. Previous attempts to capture him have failed.
Obviously, the fear that he would somehow figure out that anyone's looking for him and bolt. He just called his number.
Shauna Aronson got a tip that Caro's expected at this clinic near Tel Aviv.
Who's going to call the
She's
police,
with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the U.S., exploiting a process called Law of Return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship. The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk, who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles.
So your classroom is right here. How does it feel being back?
I was very anxious and, stressed coming back here, and a lot of memories coming through my mind.
Memories of his alleged abuser, Mordechai Yom Tov, who taught him Hebrew studies when he was just 8 years old.
So in the beginning, he would just rub me like outside of my pants, and then...
I don't think I want to hear this, bro.
I would say about 3 to 4 months later, he started going like in.
Reaching down your pants?
Yeah, it's reaching down.
Why did you feel like you couldn't tell anyone?
I was scared. I was ashamed. I just didn't know what people would think of me, of the whole situation.
Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yom Tov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States.
Put on the fucking costume and play with the rest of the pedophiles, right?
States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
I was supposed to stay for 5 years in the same city. I was supposed to receive training on the side of sort of thing. I was supposed to go every 2 weeks to the police station. I left within a week later.
He had this message for his victims.
I'm very, very sorry.
The other person in this video is Mayor Sewell, the founder.
Motherfucker, you should be killed.
Of Jewish Community Watch. He tells CBS News Yom Tov's case isn't uncommon in the Orthodox community.
The same thing that's going on in the Catholic Church right now around the world, the exact same thing happens in our community. The rabbis say it's, you know what, he promised he's going to go for therapy, he's never going to do it again. Boom, he's in another community. A few years later, he's at the same thing, and we hear more allegations that the person continued to abuse children.
And often, those abusers end up in Israel. Rabbi Yehuda Oppenheimer says he unwittingly helped Caro escape.
There was nothing that raised any red flags up to the point where he was moving to Israel.
Well, I wish I could say that, but unfortunately I can't say that. So he had violated his parole, and now they were looking for him. He said that there was something in the past that had happened when he was young, but and nothing had ever happened since. I've changed and I'm a different person now, but you gotta help me. I felt
pedophiles don't change. Pedophiles do not change. I mean, maybe this is controversial to say, but we should be torturing and executing all pedophiles. There should be a channel that you could tune to that has 24/7 live streamed torture of pedophiles. Call that crazy. Call that psychopathic. I don't give a fuck.
that I could trust him. So I wrote him a letter, and he bought a ticket, and he left.
Caro is accused of abusing more children when he got to Israel.
I love you, but can we switch the topic off pedos? Sorry, I can't. The President of the United States is a pedophile, and I'm an American political commentator. So we have to be, unfortunately, the President of the United States is a pedophile, so we can't avoid the topic of pedophilia.
What was that like for you when you found that out?
It was a punch to the gut. It was very painful.
Rabbi Oppenheimer says the reason he came forward is to shine a light on the process of accused pedophiles fleeing, to help ensure it doesn't happen again. Back at the stakeout, an ambulance pulls up and a man steps out. It's Caro.
That was definitely him. Oh my God. Okay.
The police are called and eventually arrive. His days on the run are over as he's led away.
Did you assault the girl in the United States? No. Did you flee Israel because you assaulted the girl in the United States? Have you ever assaulted any girls in Israel? Do you know that you're wanted by Interpol?
Yeah.
There's relief as police escort him to their car. This marks the end to a months-long manhunt.
Escort him to their car. You should be tying that motherfucker to the muffler and doing laps around the fucking city. I'm not even being sarcastic. I'm not kidding. That is how you should be dealing with these people. You want to scare the fuck out of every pedophile in the United States on the goddamn planet? Start hanging them from the Washington Monument and leave them there for the crows. I hope you don't think I'm fucking kidding.
Oh my gosh! Can I give you a hug? I have something I need to tell you. Yeah. Okay. We found him, and he was just arrested. What? He was just arrested.
Thank you. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Amuna, not her real name, is the person on the other end of the line. She was a little girl when Caro entered her life.
I was 4 or 5 years old. My mother was on bed rest. My father was a rabbi, so he wasn't really home. He used to come to our house. We used to play games, and then it became sexual. I'm going to give you a cookie because you do it so nicely. It's all about the cookie. It's all about lying and...
Oh my God. Oh my God. Fucking ew. Here, this will cleanse our palate.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my humble duty tonight to introduce you to the Grand and Imperial Wizard of the Invisible Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, Mr. Bill Wilkinson. Oh, Imperial Wizard, can you tell me, and us, 100 years after you your predecessors set the South aflame with the cross burnings, lynchings, and other events, you should be bothering this country still?
To begin with, I believe a slight rebuttal is in order for your opening statements or the opening statements that was made about the Klan. We are not anti-Catholic. We are not anti-Semitic. We believe in the white race. We believe that at this point in time that white Americans are being treated as second-class citizens, that the federal laws, the civil rights laws, have created a dual system of justice in this country, a set of federal laws that protects the interest of minorities and local and state laws.
But Grand and Imperial Wizard,
the interest of white people.
If I may interrupt, if I might be so bold as to interrupt the Imperial Wizard, it says
I love that this
on
motherfucker keeps on clowning on him for calling himself the Imperial Wizard.
The sheet that you people hand out to the young and the youths of our high schools, it says, if you want to join the Klan, quote, I swear that I am of white, non-Jewish heritage. Are you fed up with special privileges given to blacks? That's a quotation from your own literature.
Absolutely. We are
Well,
a
what do you
Christian.
mean you're not? What do you mean you're not anti-Semitic?
We are a Christian organization. We also don't allow Buddhists or Muslims or atheists in the organization.
When did you take?
We don't just hate Jews. We hate everyone. That's what he's fucking saying.
In the Pat Buchanan's when I was a kid in Dubuque.
No, Alan, you're wrong there. There's nothing wrong with being Israeli either. There are children who were born in Israel who have committed no fucking crimes. You are not in trouble for being born. No one controls where they're born.
Guy with the Ku Klux Klan, which was then fairly powerful in Indiana, about 1922 or 3, somewhere in there. You were anti-Catholic.
The Klan has had different views from time to time on lesser issues. The one issue we've never changed on is that of segregation. We believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races. In fact, that's not a unique stand. Billy Graham, just a few years ago, himself segregated his crusade audiences. He preached segregation. The Southern Baptist and the National Baptist, one was black, one was white. They practiced and preached segregation. So we didn't invent segregation. We just still believe in it.
Let me ask you about something, and you did correct it, let me say, before the show started, something I was unaware of. But there are a number of Klan organizations, and I gather it is not yours, who march in tandem, arm in arm, with members of the American Nazi Party. Now, the Nazis were responsible for the murder, not simply of Jews in Germany, but American pilots, American soldiers. They're guilty of all manner of horrid atrocities. They have on their, I guess on their record, some 250,000 American dead. Now, why would any patriotic American, or one who calls himself a patriotic American, be anywhere near the swastika, the insignia of Hitler?
Does this guy think that the Grand Wizard of the KKK doesn't support the Nazis? Brother, he probably is a card-carrying member of the Nazi Party.
Hitler's Germany.
Well, as you conceded before the show, I did clear up that point. The Klan, the Invisible Empire, which I head, detests Nazis as much as we do communists.
Bullshit.
But I'd like to make one thing clear, that there's too much hype today about the Germans and the Nazis. Let's not forget that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and they led to death marches in Bataan. I don't believe that we should condemn all of the Germans for something that happened in Germany 40 years ago. And I do condemn what Hitler did to any.
Why would any patriot, someone who calls himself a patriot, and a Klan's groups with which I guess you're associated with members, if not the leadership, why would they march with people who march under the swastika?
We don't.
You don't. Why do your colleagues do that?
I believe, to make it clear at first, we're the only national Klan organization left. There have been those that have come and gone. It's sort of like the political parties, the Democrats, Republicans, American independents. They come and they go. They splinter and they regroup and rejoin. Right now, we are the major unquestioned Klan organization in America. There are some people that we have expelled from our organization that will start other branches. In their anxiety to get membership and support, they will join with anyone, including Nazis.
This is not your organization, doesn't believe that. But I believe a quote by you I read in a book on the Klan today. You were denouncing the quote, I think it was Jew-controlled media. Have you used that term?
I may have used that term.
It's a direct quote.
I may have used that term some years ago.
What do you mean by that?
But well, I don't mean by that anything at this point in time. I believe that
How the fuck does racism exist? I'll tell you the actual reason. The genuine reason why most racism exists is because this guy is afraid. He is afraid that his white wife will leave him for a black man. That is unironically how marijuana was made illegal. Cannabis. Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, all drugs were legal. Okay, you could get cocaine, you could get Eucadol, you could get heroin, you can get meth, you can get weed at the drugstore. What ended up happening was the newspaper industry in the United States of America was heavily reliant on paper, right? Now, there is a cheaper alternative to paper, which is hemp, right? Hemp, we used to make parachutes out of hemp. Hemp comes from the cannabis plant. So does marijuana, right? When we found out that hemp was cheaper than paper, the newspaper industry, led in New York City, started printing out bullshit articles, and they came up with a fake name for the smokable plant that grew off of the cannabis leaf. The name they came up with was marijuana, which translates to dirty tobacco, right? And the articles that were coming out were saying that white women were smoking this dirty tobacco and would then go manic and cheat on their white husbands with blacks and Latinos. And this led the charge for the American government to start criminalizing the entire cannabis plant with the ulterior motive to destroy the hemp market so that the paper industry could still dominate newspapers, right? The literal weapon they used to criminalize weed was white women are gonna smoke this and fuck big black dick. That the entire, like, and this is like the root of a lot of these issues, is that white people were afraid that their wives were gonna cheat on them with black dudes. Unironically, that is the origin of a lot of this.
Or prominent in the media, but I believe a lot of Baptists and a lot of Methodists and a lot of other people
Why would you use the term Jew-controlled media? You know? I mean, you don't run around saying the Baptist-controlled media is keeping us off the air, do you?
I no longer use that term. This has been a number of years ago that I would have made that comment, and I'm not apologizing for what I might have said at that time.
All right, let's talk about blacks.
By the way, this is also the same reason why they were so against interracial marriage, because racist old white men knew that their wives would choose black people and Latino people and just nicer people if they were given the opportunity. So by banning interracial marriage, white women had to choose white men. All of this stems from the patriarchy. It stems from white men's belief that they are entitled to women's bodies. That is where all of this stems from.
Wait a minute, I want to go. My brother came back from the airborne in Vietnam, and he told me, and that of the bodies that he took out as a medical officer, he said, 50% of those guys were black kids.
Yeah, because there were way more black people that were drafted than white.
Served in the United States and Vietnam. This was it was a crack frontline unit, and these were American blacks who died in higher numbers for their country in Southeast Asia in that war than did white Americans, as a matter of fact, in the Vietnam War. Now, how can you be against a race which contains people who are out there fighting for their country just as much as white Christian Protestant Americans are?
That's something else that needs to be cleared up, Pat. We're not against the black race. We believe in free and...
The Grand Imperial Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan just said, "We're not against the black race." I think that's going to be news to your supporters. I think that's going to be news to the rest of the KKK. Wait a minute! Like, what are we talking about?
Prize for this country. We believe that everyone should have the same rights.
Well, Mr. Wizard, it says right here, wait a minute, Mr. Wizard. Let me interrupt you for a minute, Mr. Wizard. It says right here, you believe in the final solution, which is black repatriation to Africa. Now,
Abraham Lincoln, but now look, I'm not going to be cut off in the middle.
No, but I'm not going to be
shut off. Shut your fucking cock holster, you racist piece of shit. I hope your ass got fucking raped before you were killed. Fuck you.
Either you're running around on a bed sheet. I don't have the bed sheet. But I just want to tell you, I want to ask you this question. Can you imagine this country repatriating all the black Americans that Pat just spoke about to Africa?
No.
I mean, what kind of nonsense
No,
is
I can't.
That? Well,
I
what are you
sure
saying
can.
it for then?
I'm not saying it.
Well,
You
it
said
says right here.
No, that's your paper. That's not my paper.
That's your paper. I took the quote and wrote it on this blue
That's
type.
not my paper. Now, to get
Is
back
that
to
his-
it,
is that
to get
not
back
your
to it. Now,
claim?
just a minute. I answered your question. Now, I want to finish what I was saying. We feel that affirmative action is discriminating against white people, and there's.
Bro, this is 1982, and they were talking about affirmative action and DEI. Bro, the Republicans are literally evil. They're the party of racism, hatred, xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, misogyny. These just the worst fucking people on planet Earth.
There's no question about it. Two wrongs don't make a right. Because black people were hurt and discriminated against in the past does not justify the discrimination against white people now.
Mr. Wilkerson,
And we're
I
asking
didn't
for an
ask you-
end to that.
Look, I'm against reverse discrimination. I'm
Okay,
against racial
good.
quotas. I'm against affirmative action as it's practiced. But you said, when I introduced you, I didn't say that your organization was. I said historically to most Americans, you're anti-Catholic and anti-Semitic and racist. In other words, anti-black. You said,
Okay.
we're not anti-Catholic.
Right.
We're not anti-Semitic. You didn't deny the racist thing.
Well, it depends on your definition of racist.
What-
I'm a segregationist, okay? I believe that God has commanded me not to mix with other races.
far
For
would
that
you-
reason, I want to have schools where I can send my children to a white school. I want to be able to go to my white neighborhoods, to white businesses,
All right.
for
You can
those
do
things.
that.
So if that
You
terms
can
me as
do
a
that.
racist, then I'm a racist.
Wait a minute, you can do that, but you can't have tax exemptions in your all-white school. And if
Well,
it's a public school, now black kids whose parents' taxes pay for that school, they got a right to go to that neighborhood school. Now, if you want an all-white school, all-white academy, you can do that right now. You just don't get a tax exemption for it. So what's your complaint?
You say you can do that. Now, maybe I can, maybe you can, but what about the poor people that don't have the money to send their children to private schools? They can't. They're being deprived the right to practice their religion because they don't have the money to send them to a private school.
Their religion? Brother, if you genuinely think your God dictates you to segregate, you're praising Satan. I'm not Christian. I don't believe in Jesus or hell or heaven, but let's just hypothetically for a second pretend that Satan and God were real. If you believe God is dictating you to segregate your society, that's the devil. That's the devil. Like if you hear that voice, that's not your God at all, right? It can't be. And if it is your God, he's not worthy of praise.
No reason why in this great land of ours we couldn't have a three-tiered school system, a black school and a white school and an integrated school, and give everyone their choice. We would have much less dissension, we would have much less racial problems in the schools, and if those people that are seeking to integrate the races in this country really were seeking to do the best for both races, they would adopt this system and let integration proceed gradually.
What do you think our founding fathers meant when they said "we, the people of the United States"?
Well, I won't.
That's a bad argument to make, because the founding fathers didn't even mean like white men. When the founding fathers were talking about the right to vote, they meant rich, land-owning white men. They didn't need, like, first of all, no black people. Second of all, no women. Third of all, no white people who don't own land. Fuck the poor. That's what the founding fathers meant. So even this is not the best argument to start on.
Get into that debate, but
Well, I know, but you're sitting here in your bed sheet telling us all that.
Your bed sheet? I kind of love this guy. Considering how old he is, I'm just going to say R.I.P. because he's probably fucking dead. Jermaine became a loyalist, remember? Hey, Chris, in the near future, could you do a video on how Nazi Germany got their ideas from Jim Crow? That's a good idea. Talking about how Hitler used to praise America and say that America was a perfect model for the Germany he wanted to build because of our extreme practices of segregation and discrimination. Hitler wrote about how impressed he was with America and how, Hitler wanted the Aryan identity, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, like European. Hitler believed that America was the perfect nation because the strongest Europeans, the ones who were capable of surviving the trek and the journey and growing, those were the ones who moved to America. And ironically enough, America had more Aryans than Germany. I mean, we had fucking hundreds of millions of people here, so we had more of everything than Germany. But Hitler looked at America and saw these white-only areas, the segregation. He was like, that's a great model to start with. He wrote about that.
the only thing you're for, you're against.
You're really upset about my bed.
Oh yeah, I think, you know, if I were you, I would be so ashamed of myself. I mean, I can't imagine walking around in that silly costume telling people to be against blacks and against Jews.
Have you ever seen the Pope and the Cardinals in their costumes?
Yeah, but they're...
You think you're like the Pope? You think you're like the Pope? You fat, disgusting failure of a man? I'm willing to bet money that if... Hold on. What is this guy's name? I'm willing to bet money, before I search, that this guy has children and his children have denounced him. Grand Imperial... Bill Wilkinson. Let's see. Does he not have any children? Oh, never mind. He didn't have children. He just raped them. Okay. Okay. No children because no woman wanted to fuck him.
They're religious and they're for something, and you're just nothing but against something, and you're against the very spirit of this country.
I believe in the same God.
You're against the thing.
No, we're not.
You're against the thing that makes this country a unity and that makes this country great. And I think you're a disgrace.
You know nothing about what I believe and what I
just
stand
heard
for.
what you believe.
We know everything about what you believe, you pathetic fucking worm.
Now you tell me,
I believe in God. Is that wrong?
do you deny that you said this, this is the literature you're handing out to schools, to school children in America? I just quoted this from your own pamphlet. Are you fed up, it says here, with blacks following you home, trying to beat you up?
That's
Do you
right.
deny that you said that?
No, I don't. And let me tell you, that happens more times in America than what you can shake a stick at. Blacks.
Blacks try to follow you home and beat you up. I mean,
We've had more racial problems
You're a
and
damn
muggings.
disgrace to the country.
No.
Oh,
Tom.
yes, you are.
I have a strong belief.
And you know
in
what?
fact,
You people
in
were
fact,
beaten. I don't know what we're doing in 1982 talking to you.
Well,
oh, brother, we have one of those as the propaganda minister. It's 2025. Stephen Miller is the propaganda minister. Stephen Miller would have warned this shit if he were alive. Stephen Miller is a Nazi. Stephen Miller is a Ku Klux Klan member, and they are now the top of our government.
that's your problem, Tom. But let me tell you one thing. I'm not beaten, the Klan is not beaten, and the white race is not beaten. No more than the Democrats is beating or the Republicans is beaten. They're all fighting for the things that they believe in, and we believe in something.
All right, what do you believe in?
Stephen Miller is Jewish, though? Yes, and he's a self-hating Jew. He hates Jews. Hitler was a fucking Jew, dude. Danny, Hitler was Jewish. Do you not know this?
Well, let's get.
Now you tell me what you were
Trying to
against.
achieve
What do you believe in?
What we believe in.
What are you for?
We believe in God, we believe in the United States of America, and we believe that God has commanded us to separate ourselves from other races. Not because we hate the other races or because we feel that we're better or worse, but because we feel it's God's commandment.
No,
And
I
if
thought
you
that was a
critici-
myth. No, that's not a myth. That is confirmed fact. Hitler was Jewish. That is non-debatable. Hitler was Jewish. So I don't ever want to hear like, oh, he's Jewish, he can't be a Nazi. King of Nazis was a Jew. The king of Nazis was a Jew. Thought that was debunked? No, I'll show you. Hitler was a Jew. Alois Hitler was Jewish. What's her name? Maria Schickelgruber. Here it is. Frankenberger thesis, put forth by Hans Frank, Hitler's lawyer during World War II, claimed that Hitler's paternal grandmother, Maria Anna Schicklgruber, became pregnant while working as a cook for a Jewish family in Graz, Austria, and that the father of her child, Alois, who was Hitler's dad, was a young Jewish man named Leopold Frankenberger. Now, historians have doubts. They dismiss Frank's claims, citing a lack of corroborating evidence. No counter-arguments include no record exists of a Jewish family named Frankenberger residing in Graz at the time Frank explained. Jews were expelled from Graz in the 15th century, did not return to the 1860s, decades after Alois was born, and there is no evidence that Hitler's grandmother ever lived in Graz. DNA study in 2010 examining DNA from Hitler's living relatives found a rare Western Europe, but more common among populations in North Africa and Middle East, including some Jewish groups. However, the study's findings are considered inconclusive and not definitively prove Hitler's Jewish ancestry. Now, here's the interesting part about this. Hitler is the one who created the one-drop rule, okay? Hitler one-drop rule. I just looked it up and they said, no, you looked it up and they said there's no conclusive evidence. That's what you looked up. Jewish is a religion, not a culture. You can still have German cultural name and still not be Jewish. Tell that to the Nazis, bro. They do not consider that. And also tell that to Israel. But yeah, in Germany, if you had one drop of Jewish blood, you were a Jew. In Nazi Germany, if your great-great-grandmother was a Jew, that meant you were a Jew. The Jewish people themselves consider it to be both. Incorrect. Jews are not a monolith. Not all Jews think the same. Okay, Kana, I saw it. You fucking copy and pasted the message 3 times. I saw the message. No, Chris, Hitler got the one-drop rule again. Oh, yes, I know. I got it from Jim Crow, but I'm talking about the Jewish one-drop rule. Yes, America had the one-drop rule in terms of slavery far before Hitler was born. That is fair. Let's check Trump Truth, and then I'm going to end the stream for the day. Oh, nothing new? Nothing new at all. That's strange. Anyway. Alright, guys. I think I'm going to end the stream. Enjoy my Saturday. I might go live again later if things happen, but you know how it is. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. Have a good one, have a good one, have a good one. Thank you very much. I love you all. Thank you for all the money. Appreciate you. Stay golden. Stay up. Stay woke. Stay gay. Later, gang.